With only 5 more weeks before the best time of the year, the Texas high school football playoffs, the pressure is on. Critical district matchups, heated crosstown rivalries, and the sights of hoisting a gold ball in Week 11 inching closer. It's Week 7 of the Texas high school football season, and we welcome you in to Episode 7 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We're here to party, and we hope you are too. My name is Ashley Pickle, the executive producer of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Sitting there, Greg Tepper, our managing editor. Are you not sitting there?
Sitting there.
Well, you're not standing.
What a descriptor. I am, in fact, sitting here. Fact, you are a brave truth teller.
And the poor guy that has to put up with our nonsense, making his debut in Season 2 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. It is everyone's favorite. We're bringing the Crouton Corner live. Welcome, Greg Powers.
Hey, thanks for having me. Week 7's here already?
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if
crazy.
you check your watch, but it's football time in Texas.
When district play starts, it's football time for sure.
Yeah.
And we've got some hard-hitting action tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the slate of games because I think that it kind of spans the state, from North Texas to Central Texas to Southeast Texas and all points in between. And more importantly, every one of these games for the first time this year is a district game. Every single one of these district games, which means the games tonight are going to help chart the path for the playoffs.
And that's what makes this week so exciting. Let's take a look at those Week 7 spotlight games here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We start off in the DFW, Richland and Denton Ryan, and then Arlington Seguin taking on the Eagles of Argyle, heading down to the Houston area, Barbers Hill and Port Arthur Memorial in a critical District 9 matchup, Silsbee taking on Hampshire Fannett. Up to Central Texas we go, Waco Midway and Temple, and then we round it out east with Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Of course, we have guys all across the state bringing you those games. We'll talk to a couple of them here later in the show. Jay Dunson, Ross Levinsky, and our very own Matthew Stepp. He's out at Tyler and Cleburne. We're excited to talk to him. But Tepper, like we said, we've got a range all across the state, and these games all critical district matchups heading into Week 7.
Yeah, this is a week where it's kind of put up or shut up for a lot of these teams. And we're going to find out a lot about what these teams are about now that district play has really started heating up. And that includes the big spotlight games across the state of Texas, including the big game in DFW. We're going to run through now our opening drive, tell you which games are why we're paying attention to these games, starting with that game in District 3 5A Division 1. Richland taking on Denton Ryan. This is a top 5 matchup in 5A Division 1. And in 3 5A Division 1, this is a massive game potentially to host a home playoff game. Remember, this is a district that also has Aledo in it. For Richland, this feels like their big test of the year. They've been bobbing along undefeated, but this is a level up in competition. Want to see how that squad can do. Meanwhile, for Ryan, and what's been a very emotional week, can they bounce back from the loss to Aledo? That's a big question in this one.
Yeah, it's not the only big game in town because you got Arlington Seguin facing off against Argyle, and there is some playoff positioning on the line in this one. Can a surprising Seguin squad take out an Argyle team that's always been known to be one of the best teams in the state? And Argyle's had a little problem bouncing up to 5A. They've really been dominant so far this year, beating some big teams. Can this just be another notch in their belt this week?
Moving on down now to the greater Houston area, it's the Eagles of Barbers Hill taking on the Titans of Port Arthur Memorial. This one a critical District 9 5A Division 1 game. A lot of playoff seeding implication happening there tonight. For Barbers Hill, offense has been no problem with wide receiver Keegan Morton and running back Gabriel Howard. It is electric. For Memorial, coming off a loss. They lost to Galveston Ball in district play. The key one here, Tepper, you cannot let one loss beat you twice.
No, that's a great point. Meanwhile, down in Southeast Texas, District 9 4A Division 2 gets underway tonight with a big-time matchup. We're just getting to the good part right away. Silsbee and Hampshire Fannett. You know, the word on Silsbee all year was like, what does life look like without Draylon Miller, who's now kind of tearing it up at Colorado. So far, so good. Michael Mosher, their quarterback, has been fantastic. The other question is on the Hampshire Fannett side. Coming off of an open date, how healthy are they? They've been very banged up going into that open date. I want to see if guys like Ty Bryson, their outstanding quarterback, can step up in a big way now that district play is underway.
Out in Central Texas, you have Hewitt Midway taking on Temple, and this is a showdown for playoff seeding. We'll really be excited to see who comes out on top. Joe Gillespie's had little problem adjusting to the high school game after coming to Hewitt Midway from TCU. And Temple's really playing good for Scott Stewart this year. The defense is on the right track. A guy that I really like that leads the defensive unit is a fearsome edge rusher in 2026 defensive end, Jamarian Carlton. A lot of talent on both of these teams. We'll see who comes out on top. I'm kind of feeling a defensive battle on that one. Calling my shot. We'll have to see how it works out.
Someone write that down because we're going to round it out in Beast, Texas. This one, Kilgore and Tyler Chapel Hill. We have it circled every single year, and that's because it is an East Texas rivalry we know all too well out of District 9 and 4A Division 1. At Chapel Hill, the big question, guys, is will the Stars play? Do-it-all athlete Demetrius Brisbane has been banged up some this year. Will he be back in play and make the start against the Bulldogs tonight? Kilgore on the other side, can they rally from a Week 6 loss? They dropped to Henderson. Do not let this one drop twice.
Yeah, this is a fascinating ball game, and all of them are interesting. I'm paying particular attention to this Kilgore-Chapel Hill game. I believe this is the eighth time since 2020 that these, or 2021, that these two teams are playing. And in the regular season, Kilgore tends to have Chapel Hill's number, but Chapel Hill's 3-0 in the playoffs against them. And that's one of the things that I'm keeping an eye on, knowing full well that you may have to see this team again. Does that change the way that you coach? Is there some gamesmanship in this one? Obviously, you want to win the ball game, but do you hold some things back?
You also want to win your district. And I think Chapel Hill that has to answer some questions without Brisbane. What if they don't get him back? They have to figure out this. They really can't pull their foot off the gas pedal. That's my opinion from the outside looking in. We'll just have to see how the game goes to find out. But two very talented squads. You know I'm going to be nerding out for Ricky Stewart, Texas Longhorns commit, who's probably closing in on the 7,000-yard mark for his Texas high school football career, if he's not already surpassed it.
All right, y'all want to play a little game real fast? I need a Katie counter, so give me this. All right, so there you go. There's our opening drive, why these games matter. We're excited to bring those to you later on in the show. But first, how about we recap some Thursday night action? So we're going to go to break. Okay, and we're going to come back with Katy Pato and Katy Cinco Ranch highlights out of District 19 6A. But before we get there, there was another game happening in the Katy District in 19 6A, and that was Katy taking on Katy Tompkins. And they have our call of the night. What did we get up for?
Five Katys.
All right, well, how about we go to it? This is Chris Elliott on the call. We'll be right back with you after the break.
They go for it if they don't pick it up here.
Formation, handoff, Trey Hill, first down, no problem, out the gate, and see you later. 41 yards, Trey Hill, his second touchdown of the night.
Left side of the offensive line right there deserves all the credit. The second time Hill scored, but the line is cleared the hole for him, cleared the path for him. He just used his breakaway speed right there to give the Tigers.
Want to talk Texas high school football with your two favorite dorks? Join Television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
Tonight, it's week 7. What are you doing? You up? Should be. Here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, the biggest games across the Texas high school football landscape, live coming at you free everywhere. Texas high school football started last night on Thursday night action down in Katy ISD, District 19 6A, with a critical matchup between Katy Pato and Katy Cinco Ranch. What happened? Well, it's written down on this sheet of paper that was prepared for me, so let's find out together, shall we? Katy Pato and Katy Cinco Ranch going on last night. We start off with the first quarter, and Katy Pato gets things going early. Terrence Johnson makes a cut, cuts against the grain, and gets in for the score at the 39-yard touchdown scamper, and Pato up early. Then more from Pato and more from Terrence Johnson. This time, he's like, well, 39 sounds good, but what if we go 43 this time? Off to the races, 13-love Pato on top. Second quarter now, this is quarterback Charlie Adamoli. He's going to find freshman wide receiver Jacob Chavez, who's going to make a couple men miss, get in for a 14-yard score. That closes the gap to 13-7, but Pato would have a response in the form of who? Terrence Johnson. Gets the handoff, cuts upfield, powers in for a 6-yard score. Pato extends their lead to 20-7. That would be your score at the break. When we go into the second half, when they go to the air, Trent Odom, back corner, Kenan Nwobu with a great catch. A 4-yard touchdown makes it 27-10. Pato's going to run away with it, right? Well, Cinco Ranch would not go quietly into that good night. This is quarterback Charlie Adamoli. He's going to keep it on the zone read keeper, get in for the score. It's 27-18. Cinco Ranch not going away. But more from Pato and more from Terrence Johnson. His 4th touchdown of the game. Cuts it upfield for a 4-yard score. Pato up 34-18. Cinco Ranch trying to make a game of it. Marcus Gadling gets in for a 2-yard score, makes it 34-24. Then 6 minutes to go in the game, and it's sophomore running back Braden Gonzalez. He's going to take it in for a 5-yard touchdown, and suddenly it's 34-31. But late in this one, Pato calls game. It's Trent Odom to Kenan Nwobu again in the back of the end zone. Game blouses. Pato wins it 41-31. A critical win for them over Cinco Ranch to really, in my mind, Ashley, take command of a playoff spot in District 19 6A. I think you now look at the way that district is shaking out. And with Katy and Pato and probably a team like Jordan, they feel like they've got to feel like they're in good spot to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you've got Katy and you've got Katy Jordan at 4-0 in district play right now. It was looking like the Pato Cinco Ranch were going to be the next two really fighting for that playoff spot. And obviously both could still get in there, but having that 3rd seed is going to pay dividends for them. They looked exceptional last night. This really, really solidified it that potentially Greg Powers looking forward, they still got Katy and Katy Jordan on the schedule. So to win a very close matchup like that one with the big bear of 4-0 coming up in the near future, that was a very good momentum getter heading into those 2 massive district matchups.
5 wins in a row for David Hicks Sr. at Katy Paetow. Everything seems to be clicking for that offense. That's a reinvented offense. They've had a couple different offensive styles that they've tried to use over the last handful of years, but they've really zoned in on something that's really working for them, and it's popping things wide open for Terrence Johnson. You said his name tons of times during that read.
4 touchdowns in that game for Terrence Johnson. He is the straw that stirs the drink for that offense, and I'll tell you that in a district like that, like one of the things about Katy ISD is that A, it's a very big district, like they're already 4 games deep in a district play, and B, you've got, these teams know each other really well. And so for a team like Paetow to go out there and to beat the teams that are kind of in that big middle is so important to them. Knowing full well that, again, Katy and Jordan are coming down the pike. They're going to have to deal with them at a later date. But to get these wins over the teams you should beat, that's as important as going out and maybe stealing one against Katy or Jordan.
It absolutely is. Speaking of another game that is kind of in that same area, after the break, we're going to give you a couple more Thursday night actions before we get into the bevy of Friday night action that we have here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. This one in the DFW, Crowley taking on Mansfield. So we'll give you that right after the break. But before we get there, guys, it is time to announce our Week 6 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week.
Right now?
Gentlemen, can I get a drum roll? And here we go. Our Week 6 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week is none other than Los Fresno's quarterback, Robert Pinata. He had 11 for 14, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns passing. On the ground, 15 carries, 224 yards, and 6 touchdowns rushing. 8 touchdowns in the night for a 70-33 victory over Mission Sherilyn. Congratulations, Robert. You are the Week 6 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week. All right, guys, we'll see you right after the break. Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man, and including private schools. Head to texasfootball.com, go to the Awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, Week 7. And my friends, Mallory Hartley and Carter Yates, were live on the scene in Crowley to watch the Mansfield Tigers take on Crowley, and it was a big district matchup. Tepper, what do you got?
Yeah, this was a game that Mansfield came in undefeated in this one, and riding high. That's a resurgent Mansfield team, and yet Crowley, I think, was the aggressor in this ballgame. Let's go to the highlights here, and you can see, one of the things we've been really impressed with, I think, over the course of this the season with Crowley is their offense. This is a young offense,
but they got plenty of playmakers out there, and they were on full display in their win last night.
No doubt about it. Caleb Williams, the quarterback there, he goes to work each and every week. One of the state's true under-the-radar gems, and he has a wide receiver in the 2027 class named Antavius Ellis. Everybody in Texas is going to know his name by the time he graduates. He's already got over 25 scholarship offers, and he scores touchdowns on the reg.
I'll tell you what, the thing with Crowley for me is that they have flashes of being such a good team. Like we mentioned, the offense is good, it's very young, and part of being a young team, that's what comes along with it. The thing that I would like to see from the Eagles moving forward in district play is a level of consistency. So you take a look, there's the final score, 35-23 over a very good Mansfield team, and I think that said a lot, but you go back in their schedule a little bit, they played North Shore incredible, 13-28. Yes, that's a loss. No one likes to say good loss, but it was. You're playing one of the top dogs in 6A, and then the next week they go and they drop to Skyline, and Skyline better than we thought that they were going to be, but not a game that you should go get completely shut out in. So Carlos Lynn teaching these young players of getting up to that consistent level is what I think is going to really pay dividends moving forward in District 3 6A.
Yeah, I think you're spot on because, for you, that's the guy you want in control of a young team. As a guy like Carlos Lynn, who's a veteran coach, who understands the growing pains that teams are going to go through. You take a look at the District 3 6A standings, and what this does for Crowley, I think, is really solidify them as a playoff team, plain and simple. It would be a pretty shocking fall from grace at this point if they were to not make the playoffs here. Look, they've still got North Crowley coming down the pike. That is going to be a chore, okay, playing North Crowley in that Week 11 matchup. But for Crowley at 3-0 in district, you just feel really good about where they're at. Mansfield still feels pretty good about it. If you'd rather have it than lose, but at the same time, I think both those teams, you saw two playoff teams playing last night.
It was a loss, but to me, it wasn't a monumental loss because I'm locking in North Crowley, and Mansfield as three playoff teams in that district. The question to me now is, where is the battle for fourth? Who gets into that last spot? Mansfield's got a good squad, man. Jacoby Hayes, the North Texas commit over there, that dude is lightning in a bottle, and really, North Texas got a steal in this kid, and they're going to have to beat, I feel like they're going to have to beat some P4 programs down the stretch to hold on to it. Something I'm tuning into.
Are you familiar with North Texas?
As we bring you Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight here at the University of North Texas studios. We would love to be able to keep him, but we'll see. All right, there you go. Our Thursday night action for Week 7. Looking forward, up next, it is what you've all been waiting for. Friday night action across the Lone Star State. Before we get there, it is time for our Texas State Technical College Technical Play of the Week. Guys, you heard of Jonah Williams from down there at Galveston Ball?
Who?
Just one of the state's most electrifying players, one of the most technically sound players, if you will. Here is Jonah Williams doing Jonah Williams things in our Texas State Technical College Technical Play of the Week.
Okay, so 5:57 to go. Just in case you're tuning in, the Port Arthur Memorial Titans drove it down the length of the football field, got a touchdown and an extra point. So score is tied up, notched up 7-7. So we're going to go Port Arthur Memorial kicker going to boot it, and about 1 yard or 2 yards just outside the end zone is Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams, he is going to take it all the way. And there you're seeing why Jonah Williams is as he kind of daps up the UT Longhorn coaching.
Takis is the presenting sponsor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Sustainability Champions Award, spotlighting influential kids looking to pursue a career focused on social, environmental, and economic well-being for our future. Be sure to check out this week's Spotlight Game of the Week, where we'll be spotlighting 2 Sustainability Champions Award winners. Thank you to Takis for your support of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Sustainability Champions Award. For more information, visit texasfootball.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Sport Tyler to award the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week, which recognizes the top offensive player in Division I college football, who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity. It all leads up to the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, announced in January. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. For more information, visit earlcampbellaward.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Higginbotham have teamed up to find the most driven team in Texas. This fall, 10 finalists will be highlighted throughout the season, with one student athlete from each team receiving the Most Driven Scholar Athlete Award for their leadership in the classroom, along with $1,000 in tuition assistance. In November, all 10 communities will rally to vote on TexasFootball.com, competing for the title of the most driven team in Texas. The school that rallies the most online votes will receive a $10,000 donation to their school, thanks to the support of Higginbotham. To learn more, visit TexasFootball.com/mostdriventeam.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wings drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Wing have selected 64 high schools in DFW to take part in a head-to-head online bracket challenge, showing their school pride and community spirit during the 2024 Texas high school football season. The winner will receive a $5,000 donation back to their school. For more information on the challenge, go to texasfootball.com/most-spirited-school-challenge.
It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. You know what they're saying about us. We're the show of record on Friday night in Texas high school football. That's what the streets are saying. I've got an earpiece in. That's all the streets are saying. Anyway, across the state of Texas, there are big games everywhere going on, including a game in Houston. So Atascocita had a big win last week over Summer Creek. Maybe the game of the year. You could see it live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Tonight, they're taking on another team from Humble, this Humble High, to make sure they can keep that momentum going. Let's go to some first half highlights between Atascocita and Humble. Torrey Blaylock for Atascocita gets the handoff. He's got some space on the outside, and he will go down the sideline, but then he will drop the football. What? Very un-Torrey Blaylock-like. Recovered by Humble. After the fumble, Humble goes for it on 4th and 1. Quarterback sneak is stuffed. I love the aggressiveness, but Atascocita takes over deep in Humble territory, but there's trouble with the snap. The ball is free, and Humble has the ball. It is absolute calamity in Humble. Then, after the fumble, it's Kai Afunazade, who makes a diving tackle and forces the safety. Now it's 5-0 Atascocita. The ensuing drive, finally their first points of the game, it's Torrey Blaylock. This time holds on to the ball, gets in for the score, makes it 11-0. It's a baseball blowout between Atascocita and Humble.
All right, that's wild. Let's stay in that district. Aforementioned Summer Creek taking on King, and here we go, a little RPO as Benny Easter Jr. bobbles it. Can he break this tackle? He's tugging, and finally goes down, but boy, howdy, what a play that was. Now it's quarterback Blake Thomas for Summer Creek. He's going to take the step back. You thought he was going to throw it. No, sir, nothing but green grass ahead as he goes 20 yards untouched. How about that one? Okay, here we go. King with the ball. They're trying to get some offense going, but nope, there's that Summer Creek defense we know and love. Pick 6 right here for senior free safety Brandon Jones. He's got that dog in him. We know that Summer Creek defense all too well. Get you a little jig in there. All right, here we go. Quarterback for CE King's going to fake it. He finds his man. It's wide receiver Makai Imrini. He turns on the Jets and puts King on the board. Then Blake Thomas back for Summer Creek. He takes the snap, looking for his man. Can he find him? Up in the middle, and it is Trey Brown. Go ahead and get you that one for 6. Dancing all the way through Summer Creek.
Here we go in Crowley. North Crowley gets the scoring going on the game's first play. Chris Jimerson finds Jeremy Cooper in the end zone. And here's our friend Quentin Gibson getting the screen pass, making defenders miss in the open field. That's what Quentin Gibson does every week. cashing it in here for 6 as North Crowley extends that lead. Guess what? More Quentin Gibson coming up right here. How about a jet sweep for Quentin this time? He's going to show you that he has the open field skills that P4 programs are interested in. He's picked up over 15 scholarship offers this year. Lastly, Kevin Moore goes one-on-one with the defensive back. Hey, you got mossed. North Crowley is on fire.
Yeah, that's a North Crowley team that's just brimming with confidence right now. We've talked about, their win over DeSoto earlier this year was a monumental win for that program, and they've just got playmakers all over the field. Like, plain and simple, everywhere you look, they can beat you. Running the ball, throwing the ball, and I think on the defensive side too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this is a team that has the makings, the qualities of a state champion. But it's loaded in 6A this year, Pickle. I mean, there's a lot of good teams. DeSoto and Duncanville are playing tonight, but North Crowley, like, clearly the juggernaut on the rise.
They have to get there. They have to finally cross that plane that they haven't been able to cross so far, and it's going to take beating a team like Duncanville. It's going to take beating a team like DeSoto, but I can promise you that if there's ever been a North Crowley team that can do it, it's looking like Ray Gates' squad right now has the opportunity to do that, Tepper.
And it's important to remember that they're going to be 6A D1, right? So they'll run into Duncanville at some point. That would be in the semifinals, though, if they were to get there. They'd run into teams like that. And then let's also not count out a team that we also saw in that highlight rip, which is Atascocita, right? Atascocita is going to be in 6A Division I. North Shore is going to be in 6A Division I. They don't have to see one of those teams, but I will tell you that when you take a look at the way that the 6A Division I bracket is shaping up, theoretically, right? A lot of game to play, a lot of football to play. I think that you are going to be seeing the kind of heavyweight matchups that we've become accustomed to at the state's biggest bracket.
Duncanville, DeSoto, North Shore, they're all known as prospect factories. All the guys on their teams are basically D1 guys. North Crowley is now matching them with D1 talent, with guys who are going to be getting paid on Saturdays and Sundays to play the game. North Crowley's got a whole roster full of those guys.
Well, I'm sitting up here next to some D1 talent in Greg Powers. Tepper is also here, but you know what else we have that is definitely D1 talent?
I'm feeling attacked.
The Quad Box! As we take you out to our favorite part of Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight, this is why you join us every single Friday for plays like this. What game is this?
Temple.
My goodness. How about a touchdown to start off the Quad Box?
As Temple breaks for a touchdown,
with
and they're going nuts at Wildcat Stadium. As Temple kind of closes that gap to 7-6 there. You got Arlington, Seguin, and Argyle up there in the top left. It looks like a field goal attempt incoming for Argyle up, and I don't see it.
Up in confusion.
Up and confusing. Can't see. Silsbee and Hampshire, Finette going on down there in southeast Texas. Out east, it's Chapel Hill and Kilgore with the Raging Red up 14-0 on Chapel Hill. And then, of course, the aforementioned Midway and Temple game. I do want to focus a little bit on the Midway and Temple game. First of all, the pants. Blue front, white back magic. Just
I thought you were going to give me the credit for the defensive battle right out of the gate.
There's that. That's true. It's going to be a defensive battle.
Yeah.
Also pants. Secondly, this is a remarkable kind of, I think, two programs there in Central Texas, two legacy programs, big school programs in Central Texas, that are both kind of on the come up and both on the bounce back. Remember, Temple was 1-9 last year.
People were writing them off.
People were writing them off, and I'll also tell you that, we don't play the hot seat game, but if you go 1-9 in Temple, Texas, people start talking at the diner. You know what I mean? And so for me, as you see Hampshire Finette up there in the top right, converting a first down, to me, what Scott Stewart has done is just get back to basics and get things going. By the way, I believe their field says white back, blue front, white back on their field, which is just spectacular. It's the best pants in football. Fight somebody about it. No, argue with your mom.
I think the biggest thing that Temple has found within themselves this year is that they can play defense. I mean, we have seen for many years Temple have some electrifying offensive players, but this defense took a massive step forward this year. They forced 8 turnovers in the last 2 games that they have played, and a big reason behind it being these 2 defensive studs there, Jamarian Carlton and Jason Bradford Powers, 2 incredible D1 prospects.
2 of the top prospects in the class of 2026. As a matter of fact, Jamarian Carlton is in the race to be a 5-star talent. Everybody's very high on him. Over 20 scholarship offers. Everybody in the nation is knocking on his door. He's got offers from Texas and Texas A&M in-state, notably. But I'm going to piggyback on what you guys said about this Temple defense. It's been a little bit down since Texas A&M star linebacker Torian York graduated, right? You got to replace the Temple tackling machine. It looks like they're starting to find a recipe for success on that side.
Yeah,
of the
it looks
ball.
like the end of the first quarter there. We're going to go to the end of the first quarter with Midway up 7-6. We go back to the quad box now. One of the things that for Silsbee and Hampshire Finnett up there, that is an early it's a district opener, District 9-4A Division II, and right out of the gates, it's a big one, right? I mean, for two teams that I think have legit, deep playoff run aspirations, that's a big one. We're going to halftime there in the top left with Arlington Seguin down 17-7 to Argyle. But back to Hampshire Finnett and Silsbee. You take a look at rather Kilgore and Chapel Hill. But one note on the Hampshire Finnett and Silsbee game. I think Hampshire Finnett is the kind of team that the playmakers we've seen from them, remember, we've seen them at State 7-on-7, the playmakers they have out there are impressive. And I think for a program, for small schools like 4A Division II, there's a ton of talent out there. Same thing goes with this game in 4A Division II, 4A Division I, between Chapel Hill and Kilgore.
Hampshire Finnett, I've got 13 players I'm tracking who could be collegiate guys.
Yeah.
So you think of it as not being like a traditional powerhouse. They got dudes. And one of those guys is already committed to UTEP, and that's offensive lineman Maddox Huber, 6'6", 310 pounds. You're going to notice him.
I think I
at
see
this
him.
level. Yeah.
I think I see him. I think he's the huge guy.
Yeah.
Playing right tackle.
Maddox Huber playing right tackle there. And a guy who I really like, athlete running back Pierce Pirtle. This dude is amazing. He's a Mr. Do-It-All. He does everything the coaches ask of him. He plays wide receiver, running back, outside linebacker. Oh, guess what? He also plays basketball and runs track. So, I mean, a little bit of everything out there for Pierce Pirtle at Hampshire Finnett.
Another guy that I'm paying attention to tonight is Hampshire Finnett quarterback Ty Bryson. I'm a big fan of his. He's a guy who's completing nearly 70% of his passes, 17 touchdowns on the year. He's been rock solid, I think, for this team. You take a look at the numbers here career-wise, nearly approaching 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns passing. This is a guy who can make every throw for Mark Wagner's ball club, and he is kind of the orchestra, the conductor of this orchestra there, and the numbers I think bear that out.
He is, and he's going to have to go up against a lot of tough competition, especially when you take a look at District 9 4A Division II. This is a very deep district, guys. So obviously, Hampshire Finnett and Silsbee both at 4-1 on the season, starting district play tonight out of the gates, but that's not the only tough test that they will have in this district. You take a look at it, and Jasper is in there. They're at 2-3, Shepherd 2-3, and then of course you would be remiss not to mention West Orange Stark. Hiawatha Hickman has his team back up to a place that we haven't seen probably since, oh goodness, he would be yelling at me right now. Cornell Thompson left, but Hiawatha Hickman kind of going through another football crazy town that took a little bit of almost a Temple dive off and now is back up to where they're at.
Yeah, I would even go so far as to install West Orange Stark as my favorite in this district right now. I think that what they've shown so far is awfully impressive. But of course, Hampshire Finnett and Silsbee are not going to go quietly, and I think that's why this game, the winner of this game, I think probably establishes themselves as chief challenger to West Orange Stark, as Hampshire Finnett thrown in the end zone. Ty Bryson, money! Touchdown, Hampshire Finnett, and the Longhorns draw first blood in this game against Silsbee.
I don't want to sleep on Silsbee, though. I see Hampshire Finnett getting on the scoreboard first here, but guess what? We got, look, a little scoreboard update. Hampshire Finnett
13.
Was going up 13 and missed a touchdown there. But Silsbee, don't sleep on them. They had to replace Draylon Miller, right? But Caleb Johnson has stepped in and done a tremendous job of that. I mean, when you replace a 5-star, there's going to be an adjustment period. But the offense has been clicking pretty well, and I think a big reason of that is Johnson.
All right, so there you go, taking a look at Hampshire Finnett and Silsbee. How about we head back up to a cross-regional matchup? This one, Tyler taking on Cleburne. Out there in Johnson County is our very own Matthew Stepp. Stepp, we're excited to have you back on, but it looks like Tyler is up to a pretty substantial lead on the Yellow Jackets there at the Rock. What have you seen from that electrifying offense for Tyler?
I think balance has been the key for Tyler. Their two sophomore stars have been really, really living up to the billing this evening. You start with sophomore running back Kadarius McMiller, a pair of touchdown runs, 6'1", 195, elite athlete. great burst. You don't see a lot of tall running backs, but he gets the job done. And he's a handful. And then you got Trey Harrelson on the outside when Tyler's needed a big third down conversion. Quarterback Caden Granberry has looked to Trey Harrelson consistently. They've been able to move the chains. And then Tyler's gotten it done with defense. They got a scoop and score, big hit on the quarterback, and Decatur Suing had picked it up and ran 35 yards for a touchdown. And they've even gotten it done on special teams with Marvin Espinal making a 50-yard field goal on this beautiful natural grass turf here in the Rock in Cleveland, Texas. So it's been all Tyler, 24-0. Coach Rashawn Wood's squad is really starting to round into form as they get looking to make a playoff run.
Hey, Matt, it's Greg from work, Greg Tepper, that is. I want to ask you a little bit about the defense specifically for this Tyler team, which has been, let's call it up and down to start the season. What you've seen from them, does it feel like something is starting to really click on the defensive side?
Yeah, a lot of speed on that side of the ball. Tyler's not the biggest on the defensive side of the ball, but they fly around, and they're really flying around tonight, getting a lot of pressure on the Cleveland quarterback, making his life miserable. They've shut down the run. Cleveland has not been able to run the football, and so they turn Cleveland one-dimensional. And then you've got those athletes in the secondary that we saw down in College Station at State 7-on-7. You know they can make plays, and they've come close to getting a couple of interceptions already. I feel like in the second half we may see Tyler get at least one interception here and add on to this lead. It's been all Tyler, and they're looking really good tonight. They've been impressive.
Heading into this game, Step, I task you, my road dog, my ride or die, Matt Stepp, you're getting me the scoop on McMiller. Is he the real deal?
Absolutely. He is a really, really phenomenal athlete. Like I said, he's 6. The only concern I have for him at the next level, he might get too big to be a running back. He's already 6'1", 195 as a sophomore. But I think he's a good enough athlete where he can position flex to the next level and play a bunch of different positions because he's such an elite athlete. I mean, once he gets to top speed, he's a blur. He's got great make-you-miss ability in the open field, and I can see why he's such a highly coveted prospect.
Well, he's our Matt Stepp. He is also a highly coveted prospect. Matt, we appreciate you hopping on with us. Enjoy all that Johnson County has to offer out there. So there we go.
Bye, Matt.
Yeah, did y'all want to say bye to your buddy?
I did. I said bye.
I'm glad that you did. Thank you for doing
that.
that.
We held it down in the Palestine Westwood at Westwood Panther.
I was going to say, y'all were on the road last night.
Yeah, it was a fun trip, man. Like, it was a high-scoring affair on the Westwood side of things. They just curb-stomped Crockett. But, man, they've got some talent. Kavian Bryant.
I was going to say the Kavian Bryant, the outstanding kind of young sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, sophomore
for Westwood. He's been a dynamic. And then we knew John Denman coming into the year was going to be a star. It sounds like the stars were out in Palestine last night.
No doubt about it. They can score in bunches, and keeping an eye like moving forward on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it works out, they may have to play Columbus or Hitchcock. Maybe there's an outside chance that's Yoakum in round 2 of the playoffs. That's a match that everybody's got to be tuned into.
It's going to be fantastic, absolutely.
Speaking of a ton of other matches that everyone wants to keep their eye on, let's check out some scores in 1A Division 2 as we dive into our scores here. A reminder, you can scan that QR code at the top. It'll take you to texasfootball.com/scores. You can see scores all across the state. And how about Marble Falls Faith Academy keeping up with Cherokee down there?
Yeah, one thing I will note about these scores is cherish them this week because next week these evaporate. Like next week, almost every 6-man team in the state is on an open date. Richland Springs and Brooksmith, I anticipate Richland Springs will run away with that one. Same with Motley County over Patton Springs. Yeah, Cherokee, coming off a loss to Benjamin, want to see if they can get their wheels back on against a good Marble Falls Faith Flames ball club that can challenge them. Oglesby all over Mullen, they're quietly putting it together. Benjamin moving up in the rankings. They're all over Guthrie tonight, and then Iredell, the Dragons continue to roll with a win over Morgan. Let's check out 1A Division 1 if we got it. I don't know. He said that unconvincingly.
I have complete faith in our graphic duo.
Maybe not. There it is. 1A Division 1. Gordon all over Lingleville tonight. Buena Vista up on Grady. Westbrook continues, kind of trying to get their wheels back on. They've had a tough non-district schedule. But they're hanging on to a spot in the rankings right now. We're not giving up on them. I expect May to make short work of Moran tonight. Same with Aquila over Coolidge. And then Rankin and Garden City, one of the games of the night. Really excited to see how this one kind of sorts itself out as Rankin is a team that we're keeping a close eye on at TexasFootball.com. A reminder, speaking of TexasFootball.com, you see that QR code on the top right? Scan that bad boy. And go to texasfootball.com/scores where you can find all the live scores. Let's go to Hampshire Finette taking on Silsbee, a game we're keeping a close eye on down there in Southeast Texas. Again, a District 9 4A Division II opener, and in a district that we were talking about, with Jasper, with West Orange Stark, and with these two ball clubs. Like, I don't want to start going crazy here, but like, it is theoretically possible, as Silsbee's giving the ball back to Hampshire Finette now, already down 14-0, that if Silsbee loses this game, you can be fourth place in this district pretty easily. Like, it would not take much to be fourth place in this district, as Hampshire Finette kind of going for what could be a real dagger here early in the second quarter.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Pickle kind of talked about West Orange Stark being back, and that's something to keep a close eye on. You definitely want to win this game,
yes.
Because it puts you in the driver's seat potentially. If you win out, you're going to win the district championship. Why? Because it's the first game in district of the year, and if you don't lose a district game, guess what? You win the district.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead. I was going to say we check back in too real fast with Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Kilgore now up in an astounding 21-0 there in the second quarter, and I think that's a pretty early on second quarter score.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. Small update. I know that there's games going on across state. A big game going on I-20. I can tell you late in the second quarter, Duncanville is up 28-7 on DeSoto. 28-7 on
Revenge
DeSoto.
tour.
Oh,
And there you go,
big!
big play there. They're going to mark him down at the. Oh, they gave it to him.
They gave it to him. The rule of cool worked this time.
Rule of cool. He's in. Touchdown at Hampshire Finette. They extend their lead there. Big play there as we checking in on scores across state. To finish my thought, Duncanville up 28-7 on DeSoto late in the second quarter. DeCorian Moore has 4 touchdown catches from Keelan Russell. So he's doing that thing. He's doing that thing again.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Corey Moore is rated as the #1 player in the state for a reason.
Yeah.
He's
And
a
who did
dude.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a team effort.
Yeah, not our director of recruiting at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Speaking of making a statement, Hampshire Finette, one of the questions we had about them coming into this game was how healthy are they? They were a team that was pretty banged up. I would say that they are playing pretty well right now. As we bounce back out, East Kilgore and Chapel Hill. One of the things that I'm keeping an eye on in this one, is who's playing here. Because one of the questions we had here was whether or not Chapel Hill was going to be with Demetrius Brisbane, their outstanding quarterback. Well, I can tell you right now, that guy at quarterback is not Demetrius Brisbane. He's not. It does not appear that he is playing right now. I have not seen, by the way, we're looking for number 4, Ricky Stewart. I know he's been nicked up a little bit as well. This is a team that their top-end talent's really impressive, but it's going to test their depth if they're without some of their stars.
It absolutely is. All right, we've got more halftime updates coming for you. How about we head out to Jefferson County? Our guy, Jay Dunson, coming back for the first time this season on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, is out there for Barbers Hill and Port Arthur Memorial. Jay, excited to have you on, my guy. It looks like Port Arthur is not letting that loss against Galveston Ball slow him down, taking an early lead here against Barbers Hill. What are you seeing from the Titans? All right, we will try and get Jay back on with us. But guys, we talked about that game prior to in saying, hey, you can't let a loss bite you twice. And it looks like Port Arthur was on the same page.
Has put the wheels back on. Like, let's be clear. Last week against Galveston Ball, they drove down to the beach and they kind of got it handed to them. You know what I mean? They got handed a receipt by Galveston Ball. I think it's absolutely critical for them to make sure that they are back in the mix and back playing Titan football. Because I think last week they got beat pretty soundly by a good Galveston Ball team. Make sure that you are out there and reestablishing yourself as one of the teams to beat in that district. And I think they're doing that tonight against Barbers Hill.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that was a game that I thought was one of the more intriguing matchups because it was a real big clash of styles for me. And just to see how well that they're out of the gate in that game is an eye-opener, and it looks like they came out with a chip on their shoulder following that, I'll call it a stomp down last week. So,
yeah,
That's one of the things, for Port Arthur Memorial, we keep an eye on this Hampshire Finette and Silsbee game. We want to see whether or not Port Arthur Memorial can figure things out offensively, or especially offensively, because they really got dominated last week on the defensive side. So we got games going on all across the state. We're keeping an eye on these games here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. But one of the things we want to make sure we catch up on is the recruiting side, because Greg Powers, of course, we're here with the Director of Recruiting at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Greg Powers. And earlier today, you had the courage and the wherewithal to, even though you're going to be here talking Crouton all night, you want to put it on wax. And you got to make sure that people have the Crouton corner.
You know what I'm going to do, Tep, just for you?
Yeah.
Go ahead and kill that video. Let's do Crouton Corner live.
Crouton Corner live?
Let's call an audible. Let's do it live right here, right now.
We'll do it live?
And we're going to talk about the pancake makers.
This is the best day ever.
No, I'm fired up to do Crouton Corner here on the set of Texas Football Tonight.
Let's go.
And talk about offensive linemen.
I gotta be honest.
This is the best day ever.
I gotta be honest. Like the energy in this room just changed. Like I know that this is.
We're hooting and hollering now.
We're hooting and hollering.
Interactive Crouton Corner. Let's talk about the top 3 offensive linemen in the state. Number 1, Louisville offensive lineman Michael Fasusi, committed to Oklahoma. Here's an update for you guys. There's been a lot of good Oklahoma players from the Lone Star State, but since 2012, the inception of the DCTF recruiting rankings, Michael Fasusi is the highest rated Sooners commit of all time.
Wow.
At number 3 in the DCTF rankings, beating out Kyler Murray by 1 spot. Now that's an eye-opener, and if you're a Sooners fan listening to this on the eve of the Red River rivalry, you have to be pretty fired up to hear that news. Fasusi is one of those guys who are actually going to remind people in the Lone Star State of Kenyon Green, who went to Texas A&M and then, of course, was drafted into the NFL, because he can really play anywhere up front. He plays left tackle at Louisville, but he could easily kick inside and play offensive guard. He could swing over and play right tackle, whereas hero Trent Williams played at OU. So he is a really, really talented player in his own right. And if you're in the top 5 in the prospect rankings at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, that means you're slated to be a 5-star prospect, and Michael Fasusi will probably soon be named a 5-star.
I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but like when you say, because I know how you grade offensive linemen and especially offensive tackles, and when you put a 5-star on an offensive tackle, are you saying that right now Michael Fasusi, you're thinking there's a chance he's a Sunday tackle?
I think there's a chance he's a top 10 pick.
Jeez.
Wow.
Not just a Sunday tackle. If things go right, I'm putting him in that upper echelon of offensive linemen that we've had come out of Texas, like Greg Little, Kenyon Green, Cameron Dewberry, all these guys that you've heard their names called on Sundays. Michael Fasusi is right there. But guess what? Denton Ryan is also home to a potential 5-star, our number 5 rated prospect, Ty Haywood.
Yeah.
Bad news for fans of Texas college football. He's also headed out of state. He's going to Alabama, which is a big-time program, to play for Kalen DeBoer there for the Crimson Tide. Well, Ty Haywood is a mauler. He's a dude who loves to get nasty in the trenches. And to me, he has true left tackle potential. I think Fasusi can stick at left tackle, no problem, right? Like, depends on where he's at. But he's versatile enough to move around. So is Haywood. But I love Haywood's ceiling as a guy who can consistently protect the quarterback's blind side. But I love to watch him maul in the run game. He's got these huge hands, and he tapes them up in such a manner when you watch him live, like he looks like he's a professional boxer or professional wrestler. And when he gets his mitts on somebody, he just overpowers them, and he loves to finish with authority. He's a pancake machine.
Yeah, he's a guy with the word is paws. He's got big old paws out there.
I love that, yes.
Well, and it's his ability to stick with it the entire time that really impresses me. There are a lot of times where it's like, okay, the initial contact, I have you, but he's capable of moving his feet quick enough to be able to make sure that they never are able to break that stronghold with the big old paws, like you said.
He's
and
a
you
finisher.
can see his long arms on tape. They just he sticks out like a sore thumb. He's like what you envision a left tackle to be. And at number 3, I mean, really, in this class, number 3 is a hotly contested spot. Right now, we're giving the edge to Mesquite Horn, left tackle Lamont Rogers, who is committed to, you'll like this, Tep, Missouri. There's some work to do there for the Tigers. I think that Lamont Rogers has got some of the big dogs in state really poking around. One school I'm keeping a close eye on is Texas A&M. But why do I love Lamont Rogers? Because to me, he's a power forward playing left tackle. He can mirror defensive ends. He's gotten better year over year because he started playing as a young player in this Mesquite Horn program without a lot of experience actually playing football. And he's kind of grown up right before my eyes, and he just continues to get better. Not only does he get better, but he is playing at a nice weight as a senior. He packs a lot of punch, and he's bringing a lot more authority as he's grown and gained confidence with each and every high school rep he's taken.
I'll tell you this as somebody who pays attention to like Missouri recruiting and Missouri just adjacent things. They're freaking out. They're freaking out about this. Like that, from the word out there is that A&M's charging very hard for Lamont Rogers, and A&M losing to Mizzou last week, or rather A&M beating Mizzou like they did last week, did not help things.
Right.
I believe he was in the building for that game. And so, yeah, Mizzou, I know that Mizzou circles are sounding the alarm about Lamont Rogers, and for good reason, because he is a play-making dude out there.
Here's what I say, and this is for the fans, this is for everybody who's like a recruiting fan or a college football fan or even just a Texas high school football fan. The rule of thumb in recruiting is watch what they do, don't listen to what they say. And whenever you take a visit to a big game, that's an eye opener, right? You got to put that on your radar. You got to keep an eye on that. And I know Texas A&M is working hard to flip Lamont Rogers. And guess what? They've bookmarked a spot for him in this class. Will be interesting to see, does he take it?
I think they'd save a spot for him.
How about that? Crouton Corner Live.
Let's go.
That's what the people want, man.
I also love the surprise on Tepper's face.
When he realized we didn't
pulled the ripcord and just like, look, we're just going to do it here.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Like, what do you, no. Mallory's telling me to toss the recruiting corner, and you're like, right now. That's awesome. I loved it. Thanks, bud.
All right, so we talked about Ty Hayward, the incredible offensive lineman for Denton Ryan. How about we go out and check in at halftime with our very own Ross Lubinsky. Ross, looks like that Ryan offense off to a really good start, up 27-10 there on Richland. What have you seen from the offense from Denton Ryan that's working so well right now?
Well, I mean, to start out, it was offensive fireworks galore. I mean, the first two touchdowns, both scored by both of these teams, were 53-plus yards to the house. So initially, you kind of thought like, oh my goodness, is this just going to be fireworks left and right? But I mean, Richland scored a field goal going into the second quarter, and since then they have not scored. However, Ryan has just refused to let up. I mean, they have 237 total yards, 97 passing. And just really doing a really nice job on top of it as well, 142 yards on the ground. So it's just all working for Ryan. I mean, clearly, they have not stopped thinking about that loss to Aledo last week. And they're on pace for the same thing right now, 27 points through the first half, just like in that loss versus Aledo. But this time around, they're definitely going to be hoping to score more points in the second half than last week.
Hey, Ross, I want to ask you a little bit about the running game that you've seen from Ryan. It's been up and down for them to start the season, but obviously it's working for them tonight. Who's doing the most damage in the running game for this Ryan Ball Club?
Well, for Ryan, they've been getting a lot of Nemo Warmate. In fact, there was one drive where Warmate got 2 carries, and both times it was like a judge's decision over whether he got in, trying to make a football play. I already mentioned it during the broadcast, the Des Bryant play, trying to do one of those things. It didn't get a touchdown. And then he decided, you know what, whatever, I'm going to take it myself. And once again, he almost got denied before they finally called it a touchdown. And that's how Ryan got up to their 17-point lead right now, 27-10. So he's been getting a lot of the calls, and it seems like he is loving it because every time he gets the ball, he is just barreling into that teeth of the Richland defense, and it's worked out very well for the Ravens up to this point.
You mentioned last week's 27 points in the first half, and I was thinking the same thing whenever I saw the score of this game. Aledo was able to come back, but Richland is without running back Mike Turner. What's the keys to success for Richland if they are to try to come back in this game based on what you've seen in the first half?
Great question. And honestly, more than anything, they have got to find some way to get this rushing game going, because I mentioned that Ryan has 142 rushing yards, so it's been going very well for them tonight. But Richland, they are feeling that loss of Mike Turner. They have, you would think, with losing a star running back, you might have like 40 yards to your first half. They have three rushing yards in the first half. That is it. They are averaging on 6 attempts. They average a half a yard per rush. So they have got to find some way to get this rushing game going, because that in turn, helps their defense. That way that, they're on the field longer, their defense gets to rest on us. They've got to find a way to get the rushing attack going early. But also that, and what's really helped Richland up to this point, is the screen game. Quick passes. Make your wide receivers break a tackle and let them get out into space and drive up those yaks. Really help out the offense continuously getting first down. So keep up the short passing game, but they have to get something going in this ground game if they have any hopes of making a comeback here tonight.
He's Ross Lubinsky. He is there for that big matchup in District 3 5A Division 1. Ross, thanks for your time. Enjoy the second half of that one. All right, from one Denton program to the next. How about we check in on Denton Geyer? They're taking on Hebron in a district matchup. Let's go up to 6A, shall we, and check out the highlights for this one. So Denton Geyer, Hebron, taking each other on. We'll start off here. Hebron quarterback Patrick Crouton Jr. He finds a hole in the Denton Geyer defense. Easy target ahead. Ahmad Ware, woo, in for the easy touchdown. Then wide receiver Mason White. Can he get this one from Kevin Sperry? Yes, sir, he sure can, in the very back of the end zone, untouched by anyone. Then it is Hebron on defense again on this one. And oh my goodness, is there some defense. Outside linebacker Antonio Dennis on the late blitz there. Quarterback Kevin Sperry for Denton Geyer. He shows off that he, in fact, has an incredible arm and can let it go. That one to his number one target, Mason White, again. Offense running for Geyer, and I mean running. That is running back DJ Black with the handoff to put Geyer up 14-10 at the half.
Let's check in with Louisville and Flower Mound. You're going to see Trey Williams power his way right into the end zone for a touchdown, and then D'Angelo King intercepts the pass from Flower Mound and hits the sidelines with some speed all the way down for another touchdown here. Landon Bogany, 2027 prospect, tied in, reels in a touchdown here, and good game start for Louisville.
Cy Ridge and Cy Creek going. Cy Creek gets off to a good start. Stephen Chaney finds Jalen Thomas over the middle for a 25-yard touchdown. Cy Creek forced to punt. Snap goes over the punter's head, and Cy Ridge gets the ball in great field position. But Cy Ridge, though, forced to kick a field goal, 36 yards, up and good. Now Cy Creek, now down 10-7, looks to respond. Kyle Moss looking, finding deep. Ethan Wright inside the 5. However, the Cy Ridge defense holds and forces a field goal. Christian Gomez, chip shot up and good. Your score 13-7 in that one. One thing I want to mention, we were talking about the Denton Ryan game. We talked, with Ross Lubinsky there at that game, and we've talked a lot about Quinn Hennigan, the quarterback there, and their ability to throw the ball, Braden Mussett. I maintain that they have to have balance offensively, does that Ryan team. They have to make sure that they are getting that running game going. Ty Haywood, of course, such a fantastic left tackle. And I think the biggest thing is they got to make sure that they are finding Nemo.
Oh, gosh darn it. I hate when you have funny jokes. It makes me mad. But you're exactly right. And I think that that's something that we saw last week in their loss against Aledo, was the fact that they found a way to make them one-dimensional. When this Ryan squad is one-dimensional, they lose that touch. I mean, Aledo held them scoreless in the second half, completely neutralized them on all front. And you don't have to neutralize everything. If you can neutralize one thing, that's a pretty easy playbook into how you can defeat Denton Ryan. So seeing them back now against a very good Richland team, Powers utilizing multiple weapons to get it done is exactly what they're going to have to keep doing if you're Dave Hennigan's squad.
No doubt about it. And then there's some guys on the defensive front that really control the tempo. They have two very athletic defenders on that front line, and that's Errol West and Uzziah Warmate. As a matter of fact, Uzziah Warmate is their second leading rusher on the year, and it's not often that you're saying a defensive tackle's name for that honor. That just tells you the athleticism that he's bringing to the table. That Denton Ryan front seven championship worthy.
So we're here to reset here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. We've got the quad box going. Chapel Hill and Kilgore now going to halftime. Kilgore all over what feels like a wounded Chapel Hill team, but making short work of them. Hampshire Finette all over Silsbee, and then Hewitt Midway up on Temple and looking for more right before halftime. Ashley.
Yes, so these games going on. How about we retry something that we tried earlier? We've got our guy, Jay Dunson, back, audio working. He's smiling, he's happy, he's pumped up. Jay, we're excited to have you on, brother. So we talked a lot about this one, Port Arthur Memorial and Barbers Hill. Port Arthur Memorial looks to be up at the half, bouncing back from that loss against Galveston Ball. It seems like they're not letting that shake them too much. Is that right?
Not at all. They scored on their first drive. They're up 10, but Barbers Hill uncharacteristically really has struggled. They've had some botched snaps with the shotgun. They've had some penalties, but they find themselves only down 10, which is really, really great for them. Cantu has not thrown the ball well, but the athletes are the story right now for Port Arthur Memorial. They've got so many athletes on the field, and they've been giving the ball to Samaj Pierre, and he has just been lighting them up with his yards after catch.
Feel a little bit about kind of the way that this is playing out for the Port Arthur Memorial defense. Look, 13-3 at halftime is impressive. How much of it is Port Arthur Memorial playing well defensively, and how much of it is Barbers Hill kind of stumbling out of the blocks?
Well, it's mostly it's a little of both, actually. The Memorial defense is holding them when it was the first couple series for Barbers Hill where the miscues happened. They straightened it out later on, but the defense bent but did not break. They did almost give up a touchdown with no time left, 3 costly penalties, and it brought the ball from midfield all the way to the 2-yard line with no time on the clock. Barbers Hill got to run 3 plays to try to get it in and pull within 3, but they couldn't get it in.
Jay, I'm tracking Tank King as one of my top overall prospects in the class of 2026. He's a fearsome linebacker. Does he pass the eyeball test? Is he the truth?
There is so many athletes on this team. It's hard to pick one out, but yes, he definitely passes the eye test. He's so quick to the ball. He's just a really solid linebacker, but also this Pierre kid. And there's so many athletes. They can do so much after the catch. It's really impressive.
Jay Dunson, he's rocking the Texan Live background back there. Jay, always a blast talking with him. Defensive battle. We said this from the get-go. We thought that that's how it was going to be, and it looks like it's shaping into being just that.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the Port Arthur Memorial defense. A week after getting let's call it what it is, trounced by Galveston Ball, they have seemed to find their level again, and I think that's obviously impressive. This does feel like, though, they haven't quite put it away. And so if you're Galveston, or rather you are Barbers Hill, you're like, guys, clean up some mistakes, and we can go out there and win this game. And suddenly, take command of at least, then become that challenger to Galveston Ball and District. As
I think about it, if my back's against the wall, if I'm Carl Absick down there at Barbers Hill, I'm thinking, what do I got to do to run the football on these guys? And what my answer to that's going to be is feed the rock to Jaden Rodriguez, a guy who has multiple offers from, as a matter of fact, he's got all the service academies. And you know what? Service academies love to run the football. So why not feed that guy the rock and see what he can do? It also takes the pressure off a little bit of a Port Arthur Memorial defense, who has a tremendous pass rusher in Michael Riles and Tank King, of course. But, those aren't the only guys, because you got Brock King and some other guys in that secondary that are really, really talented. And here you see Rodriguez and why he's so special at Barbers Hill. 944 yards already, closing in on that 1,000-yard mark. 13 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's committed to the troops there, and
the land troops,
and a guy who's
Please be specific.
Okay. Yes. I would say the undefeated Army.
He also committed to Army over the other service academy, so it was like a true service academy.
That rocks.
So we got a couple games going on here. We're try-boxing it right now.
Down in the bottom right, Temple and Midway are getting close to halftime here. I think it was a critical score right before halftime there for Midway to go up 21-9 and make this a 2-score game in what has been, as Greg Powers told us at the beginning of the game,
I don't know.
a real defensive rock fight.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you're holding a team to 9 points in the first half. I think that would be impressive.
Good.
Yeah.
This is good defense right here. I just saw this highlight. Look at here. Yep.
You know, one of the things that I look at in this game, and one of the things I think is underrated in this one, I think Temple Wildcat Stadium is a tough place to play, like overall. And so for Midway to go in here and handle the environment and to go into halftime with a lead, I think speaks volumes for what Joe Gillespie is bringing to that program.
And Joe Gillespie has had quite the path to getting to where he is at being the head here at Midway. Started off in '95 as an assistant coach in Stephenville, worked his way up to head coach there from 08 to 14. Then, of course, took his first collegiate job in Tulsa as the linebackers coach. After just 4 seasons, he then went to be the defensive coordinator with linebackers still involved. And then he was part of that TCU national championship playing team as the defensive coordinator. This is a guy, Powers, who understands really good defense. And if you ever had to have any sort of guess as to whether or not he was that talented, look at what he has been able to do in just 7 short weeks with being the head of the Midway Panthers.
No doubt about it. First off, that's a tremendous graphic. I love that graphic.
The arrows are really nice, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really nice
Thank
arrows.
you.
But Donovan Jones, he's a linebackers coach. He walked right into the perfect situation at Hewitt Midway, and he gets to coach a P4 level linebacker in Jones, who's committed to Oklahoma State. And he's one of those guys who you can really let cook in the back, or well, really the front 7, but he is equally effective at defending the run or the pass, and that's what makes him so special. And that's why I think he's a good fit in the Big 12 that's known to have fast-paced offenses.
Just to put a fine point on this, okay? I believe Midway is the only school in the world who can boast having a guy who was the defensive coordinator in the College Football Playoff National Championship as their head coach.
I'm not going to argue that because I can't pull one out to
Yeah,
disagree.
that's not
So,
one
like,
I can dial up in the
You
old
can have that one. You
Braintree.
win.
Thank you. I will.
It makes Texas look cool. It makes you at Midway look cool.
I
It makes
agree.
us look cool.
I agree. Poor Arthur Memorial now back on the field there after halftime. And then you see this game down the bottom left, Denton Geyer and Hebron. You know, this is a game, Geyer coming off of a tough loss to Campbell last week. And for Geyer, the word has just been kind of inconsistency. The good is so good, and the upside is so there. We kind of the book on them going into the season, as you see Hebron getting a stop wearing their Bring the Wood jerseys. This Geyer team is young. We feel like they're a year away, and you're seeing that in that when they are good, it's all rolling. But the inconsistency they've had has got to be maddening for Geyer fans. Sperry under pressure, firing out of bounds there. Now as bring up 3rd down, I believe, for Geyer. I just think for Geyer, if they could just harness all like the top end, the ceiling is so high for them, they just haven't been able to achieve it consistently enough.
The offense, to me, just hasn't hit on all cylinders yet this year, and they lost some talent over the last couple years, some big-time college talent, namely on the defensive side of the ball, and the Bowen brothers, of course, Peyton Bowen and Eli Bowen, both at OU. But also Jackson Arnold was really doing a good job running the show there. Kevin Sperry, also an OU commit, a lot of OU ties at Denton Geyer, stepping in to lead that program. I think that they're going to continue to get better and they're going to continue to make strides as the playoffs approach. But you really can't afford to lose games in this district, right? Like you need to win.
And that's what I was going to say. We haven't even begun to talk about the improvement that John Towle's Hebron team has made. I mean, take a look at this. 3-2 on the year, but the only 2 losses coming from South Lake Carroll in non-district, and then Campbell, their first district loss against a very good Campbell squad. Hebron has genuinely looked very good. They've got wins over Flower Mound Marcus, Lancaster, Dallas Jesuit. That is a really impressive resume for a team that I would say has always been pretty much middle of the pack, but now they're pushing up to that upper echelon of, hey, they might be serious contenders in this district.
Well, and as you see the field goal, they're up and no good. You know, the thing for Hebron, like you think about Hebron under Brian Brazel, who led them to a state championship back in 2005. the late Brian Brazel. And the word there, the throwback, hold on, as Barbers Hill gets on the board on the throwback touchdown.
We've got points.
Interrupting my point. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Carl Absack. But
He's not sorry.
He's not sorry at all. He shouldn't be. But this is, to finish my point, you go back to the Hebron thing. Under Brian Brazel, the late Brian Brazel, they were a defensive juggernaut. Like, that was the team that put Jamal Adams in the league.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they are getting back to that. And I think that has got to be really exceptional and really exciting, I think, for Hebron fans.
Not only Jamal Adams, you got Dietrich Wise who came through there. And I'll say this, the Woodshed, one of the toughest places to play. I've been to that stadium for plenty of big games. Nobody walks in there and pulls out an easy dub, and that's not going to happen for Geyer tonight, as you can see here on the score. Although I see a little bit of Geyer celebration there.
Geyer
might have just pulled out and extended that lead. Flash over to Argyle and Arlington. Seguin here. And it looks like Seguin with the ball.
Yeah, you know, Seguin has been one of the great stories, I think, in Texas high school football to start the year. They suffered their first loss of the year last week, but they were 5-0 before that. And I want to see exactly what happens when they get an opportunity to bow up with a certified contender.
You see number 11 right there, Tep?
Yeah.
Committed to SMU, Carterius Brown. He is an offensive juggernaut, one of those. If he had another guy that was tall, you'd call him the Twin Towers because he's so tall. He has a tremendous catch radius, and that's an offensive weapon that you want to turn to often. Career stats here, 67 receptions, 1,388 yards, 13 touchdowns. Already going to SMU, but he had offers from a who's who at the time he decided to pull the trigger on his commitment. That was a big win for Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, go ahead, Rhett. Ashley. You got it.
No, I was going to say, and you continue on to talk about this Seguin program, and the strides that Joe Gordon has been able to make this year is truly incredible. So he started in 2017. That was the first head coaching, or the first time that he was the head coach for Seguin. The last time that this team had 7 wins was in 2016 over Carlos Lynn. So now coaching at Crowley, but the most wins in a season that they've ever had in this program was 9 back in 2005, which was their second year as a program. So they've never had a double-digit win season. They went 5-4 and missed the playoffs last year. That was the only 5-win season that they've had under Gordon. So to be at this point with already 5 wins just in week 7, this is the first time that this team has had success like this, and continuing it going against very tough competition is going to be the test.
Like when you take a look at Arlington ISD, right? When you think about the top tier programs there in Arlington ISD, you think about Arlington Martin, right? You think about Arlington Lamar, right? You think about some of those programs. Like Seguin is not one of those programs that immediately springs to mind, and that to me, I think, is the real like marvel that Joe Gordon has been able to pull off there, is to bring them up to kind of that upper tier of the Arlington ISD with the Lamars and the Martins of the world.
The thing that surprised me watching this team on tape, kind of breaking it down coming into tonight, is that they have it in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know, and that was something that caught me by surprise. I didn't know that they had that much beef up front. They're a team that can really push the pile. And even in this game, Argyle got out to a quick 17, and this thing slowed down. Seguin's hanging around. When you have a hungry team, you don't want them hanging around. You want to put it to bed, man, and put your foot down on the gas and try to secure that win. But Arlington Seguin hanging around.
Bottom of the right here, you're seeing another game there in that District 23 6A. Humble Summer Creek taking on C.E. King, and no hangover here for Summer Creek. I think C.E. King is the 4th best team in that district. But I mean, they're still that may still mean that they're like a top 40 team, simply because the top 3 teams there are Summer Creek, Atascocita, and North Shore. This is a good C.E. King team that I think is just on the wrong end of an angry Summer Creek team tonight.
Oh, absolutely, and that's so funny when you look at that district, and we always say, poor C.E. King. If they were literally in any other district, they would be fighting for a district championship year in and year out. They're a team that is very consistent. They're always consistently just right there, able to hang with them. They take the wins where they can get them. But yeah, Summer Creek is not a team that you want to be on the wrong side of. All right, so there is that one down in 23 6A. How about we check in on some scores? We go out to 2A Division 2 and see what catches our eye here. Stratford up on number 10 Groover. Mart having their way with Wortham. Albany giving fits to Miles. How about this one down here, Tepper? Windthorst and Archer City keeping it really close.
Yeah, that game in the top right, up at the very top of the up at the top of the scoreboard, Stratford and Groover. This is a real prove-it game for Groover. We had Kurt Habather on Texas Football Today on Thursday, and they were fired up about an opportunity to bring the number 2 team and a team that we think can win the state championship there in Stratford to town. This is a high-powered Groover offense with Briggs Satterfield, their quarterback, at the helm, and he is doing work tonight against an elite Stratford defense. If Groover can hang on to this would be a real signature win for that Greyhounds program, moving to 7-0. Meanwhile, Munster and Lindsay are playing in the Crout Bowl. 37-0 Munster showing out in that one. And then one of my games, actually my hipster game of the week on Texas on Tep and Step, down there in the bottom right, Tahoka and Ropes. I bet there's a score there. I bet it just hasn't come in yet on the carrier pigeon quite yet.
Absolutely.
They're from beautiful Ropesville.
You can scan that QR code up at the top. It takes you to texasfootball.com/scores. As we matriculate on to 2A Division 1, the Armando Luan Hive is standing up there for Sunray, Holly up on Anson, Wascom up on number 6 Beckville.
Keep an eye on that. That district is very dangerous. That also includes Big Sandy, which I think I'm going to try to go out to that game, Wascom and Big Sandy, in a couple of weeks. Mason all over Thorndale tonight. Coleman, the Blue Cats, up on newly ranked Hamilton, and then Honeygrove taking care of Rivercrest, and then Hawley up on Anson.
I think Mason is back into that they're a machine category.
Yeah, they're doing that thing again. Region 4 down there in 2A Division 1 is still going to go through Refugio. Shocker, right? But like Shiner dropped down to 2A Division 2, and so it's a little bit more wide open. And for a Mason team that had a couple of, by their standards, lean years, they feel like they are close. They are lowercase b back.
Yes.
I'd be interested in seeing how quickly we can get that to uppercase b back.
Now I'm interested in that Wascom score right there. To me, that's the district championship playing itself out right now.
Hey, by the way, I'm just going to produce here on the air. In 2 weeks, on Thursday night, it's going to be Wascom at Big Sandy. Do you want to go?
No.
Okay. Never mind. I got rejected on live on the air.
Well, I hope that hurt.
It did. It hurt.
You know what doesn't hurt?
I'm sorry,
the
man.
quad box.
Instead going to Big Sandy.
Mom, the Gregs are fighting.
I'm just upset. I got dumped on the air.
I've already made my schedule, and I've already RSVP'd.
Were you going to go to Westwood with
No.
Step? Whoa! So you made an exception for Matt Step.
All right, as the boys continue to fight, we take a look at Geyer breaking off a huge run down here against Hebron. He gets to the outside. Yes, sir, he's in. There's that rushing attack for Geyer. We were talking a lot about that last week, saying, oh, man, usually Geyer is always equipped with what seems like a little water bug that can just get in there and...
It's Sterling Schneider on the long touchdown run there, hitting pay dirt there. And Geyer suddenly in a game that looked close, they've blown it open here in the third quarter with back-to-back scores.
I've got a bone to pick right now, though, with the Denton Geyer coaching staff. I saw number 77 out there, and all I could think of about was my boy Willie Goodacre, who's gone on to Syracuse. Man, they didn't retire Willie Goodacre's jersey.
You got to retire 77.
We are in Denton, Texas. We can easily walk, and you can be waiting for Reed Heim at C.H. Collins Stadium when they get back.
We can have words with him. As Seguin continuing to drive on this Argyle team, looking to punch it in and keep this game close. I'll tell you what, this is already. I'll tell you this is impressive from Seguin. And I know Joe Gordon is not interested in moral victories, but against a state-ranked top 5 team on the road at Argyle, for them to hang like this and to go kind of shot for shot with them, I think is impressive. As you see Summer Creek on the defensive side, they're going to take it all the way back.
I'd have to look back at that, but if it's not 100, it's like 98, 99 yards, I feel like, here on the return.
I just love their little dances. That defense, they're always dancing.
Well, it's because their defense is really good, and they're used to scoring as they are now in complete command.
How about the big dudes running down there for the touchdown? They're like, we're going to follow them the whole way.
Going back to that Arlington-Seguin-Argyle game, if Seguin could get a score here, this game is so not over.
Oh, no.
It is so not over. Going on the road and all of that, there is no way, especially if you can get a stop right after that.
Yeah, I mean, no, absolutely. They're facing a 4th and long here, and it looks like, there's no way they're going to try a 40. There's probably a punt, my guess. or I just go for it. I mean, come on, man.
It looks like they're going to go for it.
Good.
They're really
Let's leave it
behind
here,
the
yeah.
chains here. It's like 4th and 20. So, I mean, maybe you
I don't
got to
care.
punt here.
I don't care.
You just want to throw it up to Big Carteria. Yeah.
Like, what
I
are you
mean,
going to do?
all right,
Like, what are you going to
fair.
do? Like, if you're going to punt,
Yeah.
right? Like, chances are it's going to go in the end zone, right? So you're going to net how many? You're going to net 16 yards? Might as well go for it. I say you go for it. Oh, don't punt this. Don't punt this. Yeah, let's go.
Rule of cool. Oh, they pitch it back.
This is a throw. This was a pass
That's
play.
a pass. They've got it sniffed out.
Well.
That's a cool play. I appreciate that.
All right,
You got to
will
go
you
for
take
it.
it?
You're an underdog. I think that's a like
Underdog on the road.
It didn't work.
Momentum.
Obviously, it didn't work.
Ask
but
me
like,
what I would have done there.
What would
here
you
we
have
go.
done,
Here
Greg
comes
I would have
Powers?
punted.
Here comes hindsight Powers.
I would have punted right there. Duh.
Hey Powers, what's the future like?
I would have punted.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I think on the road, if your defense is playing as well as it appears that they're playing.
Listen, I saw you call that kick return for a touchdown last week. Lightning wasn't going to strike twice here.
No.
They should have punted. They should have done.
They
They should have
should have
faded you on
punted.
this one and punted.
All right, we take a look at the District 3 5A division.
Oh, he's loose!
Oh my goodness, hang on. Don't listen to me. Okay, now you can listen to me. We take a look at the District 3 5A. How about we just go to 3A score updates? That
That's
rocks. Let's see. East Bernard up on Bowling. Catula keeping it pretty close against Poth so far.
Okay. That game, the big game of the night in 3A Division 2 is
Yep.
Wichita Falls, City View, and Jacksboro. I love this game. These are two teams with big dynamic duos offensively. Jacksboro has got Wyatt Gavitt and Cannon Valenzuela.
Our guy.
Our guy that we saw at State 7-on-7, and all of us were just like, that dude rocks. Like, everyone should be all over him. Meanwhile, City View, I think, is the best team in Wichita Falls, and their quarterback Malachi Williams and Keyshawn Perry, their running back, are doing work right now. That would be a huge win for City View if they can go out in there and get it. Meanwhile, Poth up on Catula.
Woodville up right there, 18-8 over Newton. I know that they're rated higher than Newton, but Newton
no.
doesn't lose at home often.
No, Newton's a team that, like, I think they started like 0-3, but they're like clawing back and getting back to Newton levels. If Woodville were to get that, that would still, I think you could maybe characterize that as an upset for sure.
Moving on up to 3A Division 1, feel free to scan that QR code at any point in time. Malakoff up on Mineola, Pottsboro and Palmer keeping it pretty close down there. And then how about Liberty Ilu in a dogfight against Gladewater?
Yeah, Liberty Ilo, like up and down. They like last week they got a really big win over state-ranked Tatum, kind of surged back into the rankings there at number 10. Now they have to go on the road to a feisty Gladewater team. Not necessarily a surprise to see them give them some trouble. Goliad up on Corpus Christi, London. I do not expect that will be particularly close by the time it's all said and done. And meanwhile, speaking of not close, Hitchcock. Man, I'm telling you,
Dude,
after some early kind of scuffles, they have hit the Jets. And hey, Greg Powers, are you interested in Hitchcock and Columbus?
Kelshawn Johnson, one of the fastest players in the state, headed into Texas A&M after he's done playing at Hitchcock. And Lloyd, who has the best nickname in all of Texas high school football,
I think I know this.
Chubby Jones III.
Oh, yeah.
Lloyd Chubby Jones
That
III,
rocks.
heading to play for Joey McGuire in Lubbock at Texas Tech. Really talented guys on that team, but that's not it. They also have Malcolm Simpson headed to Nebraska. Chase Bruton is a guy who's getting a whole lot of attention. The Fighting Craig Smith's on the rise.
Yeah, that matchup against Columbus Week 9 is going to be a big. I don't know if y'all have taken a look at the Week 9 schedule. It might be one of the best weeks of Texas high school football that we have. I'm not kidding. Every single game I have circled, I'm like, oh my gosh, the 25th of October is about to be a banger.
Guy are celebrating again. It's funny. I will tell you, as Seguina's gotten the ball back, that's why you don't punt. But what I was going to say is this is a. What's interesting is that Week 8, actually, I hate to be a spoiler. Please watch next week. It'll be fun. We'll have a great time. But Week 8.
But we find a way to get all the good games.
It's an okay slate, but Week 9,
it's insane.
Crazy. But I will also say this. It's always the sleepy slates that end up turning into like the crazy weeks.
Both big bye weeks, Week 4 and Week 6 that we have turned out to be two of the best weeks of high school football.
Week 8's another big open date. All the six-man teams in the state basically off, so it's a big open date cumulatively.
Everybody has to step up to fill the void, right? Like whenever there's a big week of bye games, the teams know that they're under the spotlight.
And they go, Seguin punted. Are you happy?
There we go.
And look what happened. They gave the ball back to Argyle.
Yeah, but better field positioning now. I mean, neither team has scored for like 30 minutes of game clock here.
All
It's
of
the
that,
year of
all of
special
those
teams.
things,
Let
all of
him
those
have
things
it.
netted then 10 yards.
And we've got
all
another
of those
punt down
things.
here for Summer Creek.
It's all punting. We're big punt energy
Summer
around
Creek
here.
can just score on any of the three.
They almost did right there.
Yeah, they can
Look
just
at
score
that.
it.
Look at
Pin
that
that
punt.
deep.
Speaking of a punt.
They pin that like the inch line.
Yes,
Oh my
literally.
gosh. All right, C. King, if you can go 99 yards in one play, then I think that should count for 2 touchdowns. Like, that's what we need. Do you remember, this is, I'm going to turn to the other older person here.
Sorry, I was just in all of the Argyle offensive
know.
front. Jesus, look at these guys.
Pretty great. Do you remember like Rock and Jock like sports on like MTV?
Yeah, for sure.
Where it would be like they would let you like pull up for like a 4-pointer on like if you shot it from a certain spot on the floor. We need that in football. Where you can like if you score from like I think a field goal of 60 yards should be worth 4 points.
Okay.
Right?
I think it should be worth 6.
I think it should be worth 100. All right, well, we can just like keep outbidding each other if you want. As they're going to go, as McGuire Gasperson going to go deep for Argyle and incomplete.
I want to go back to something that Powers said earlier. You were talking about that Argyle offensive line. It is insane.
Yeah.
The amount of talent that they have up there. This is a big offensive lineman talk today, but I mean, that has to be collectively one of the best offensive lines in the state, Powers.
Tyler Roberts, 6'9", 325.
Nice.
Got to be one of the biggest dudes out there in all of Texas high school football. Standing next to him, Weston Chaney, 6'5", 280. Chanson Brown, 6'4", 295. And guess what? Let's mix in a 6'5", 225 tight end and put him at the end of the line next to all these behemoths.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say this. I do not think, and this is not to say anything about them, but I do not think that this is the greatest Argyle team of all time. But I think if you were to ask Todd Rogers to design the platonic ideal of an Argyle football team, it would start with this.
Yeah.
Like, that's a guy who wants to run the dang ball and he wants to get the big offensive line and just be like, we'll figure everything else out. We'll play defense and we want to have big offensive line.
I'd be interested to see if you rolled the clock back and put this team back at the lower classifications that Argyle used to play out and how dominant they would be.
I have a serious question. You know what high school desks look like? Honest to God.
Point.
How does Tyler Roberts at 6'9", 325 sit in a plastic classroom chair? He has to have a special table for him. There's no way. My long legs barely fit under those desks. There's no way Tyler Roberts fits in a normal school desk.
And of course, Tyler Roberts is a recruit to watch in that class right there, a guy who is really starting to blow up with attention. And he is in that desk because he's got offers from Dartmouth and Yale. So he's got Ivy League academics. So he's using that desk somehow.
I just want to know how he's studying then. Like maybe he's just at a stand-up desk and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna like AC SAT standing up, which would be a real flex.
As we continue on here with some game action. So we will be catching you back up with everything that Friday Night Lights has to offer. Until then, our very own Aaron Hardigan sat down with Jamie Driscoll to talk about his path to success and everything in between. Here is Aaron Hardigan with Jamie Driscoll.
In 15 winning seasons under you, you have taken a program that was once 0-10 to 16-0 with a title. When I paint that picture for you, what goes through you?
A lot of work from a lot of people. I mean, we got great kids, we got great coaches, and just the community's been behind us, and man, the kids really buy into what we sell, you know, and it's fun to watch them grow and get better and grow up and all that stuff. But my coaches, man, I got a great staff that they take the losses as hard as I do, and you know, but it's been a lot of work from a lot of people, and it's been fun. It's been a great journey, but it's been, and there's been some bad days too. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun though.
For coaches watching out there, thinking, how did he so progressively make that climb successfully? How is the question?
Well, a little bit of luck. And we've worked. I mean, we've learned from our losses. We've learned in the off season some things we can maybe implement that helped us through the years. We're really focusing on a lot of mental toughness stuff for the kids, just growing up and learning how to handle themselves and handling things. And you know, everybody's got some talent, and teams that make the playoffs, they're going to have good players, and we have good players. But we want to try to, the mental aspect of things, just how to handle themselves in the classroom and, you know, around the town, and practice every day, and just learning how to work and grind. You know, I think that's been the biggest thing.
But I'm curious to know how life has been different, or how life has maybe changed since capturing one.
It's been different. It's been different. I mean, it's just it's a vibe around the community and the school, and of course the kids. You know, their chests are sticking out a little more, and which is cool. And but it's different, but it's fun. You know, coaching school it's been great because you see a lot of old friends, and of course they're congratulating you and all that. But you know, the season is on us, and it's time to kind of put that to the side, and it's time to go to work again.
And I think that your story is one I really want to share for younger coaches out there who may be taking the reins of a program that is currently struggling, thinking, how do I do this? Why was, knowing what Malakoff was before you took over, why did you take on that challenge? And then how do you even begin to build from the ground up?
Well, I mean, it was my chance to get a head coaching job. I had bounced around and worked my way up as a coordinator, and it was a chance for me to, I applied for other jobs and didn't get them. And so that was the first thing is for me, it was to take on, you know, getting a head coaching job. And whenever I interviewed and I got a chance to meet some of the community and some of the kids, it was, I thought we could win. I mean, I don't know why, but I just thought we could win. And it was, again, we just kind of put our head down. We got very fortunate the first year. We won the district. We only went 9-2, but we won the district championship. We had beaten a team that had beaten them 19 years in a row, a rivalry team, and it was some luck on our side a little bit, but our kids bought in, and you know, it just kind of got the ball rolling, and then since then we've built on it and built on it and built on it. There's been steps backwards. We've lost some games we should have lost, and all that. That's going to happen, but you know, we just work and just trying not to. You're staying on them about everything as far as just doing things the right way. Not being that hard butt coach, but just hold them accountable and trying to get them to hold each other accountable. And you know, it only took 15 years. You know, so
that's most importantly what I want coaches to do. It takes time.
It takes time.
I like some of you've had some interesting tactics implemented, including the 7 push-ups rule.
Okay.
Walk me through that, because I hear you don't count them. You verbally declare something while doing the push-ups?
So, kind of part of the mental toughness is every day, off season, after practice, and the kids make us do it after the games now, as we do 7 push-ups, and it's a phrase, it's every decision I make affects the team. And we got kids that, you know, kids are gonna make mistakes, and everybody's gonna have issues on a certain day or whatever, but we just want them to understand that whatever they do, good or bad, is going to affect your teammates. And they bought into it. It's been great. And it's kind of we just kind of do it second nature now. I mean, the kids believe in it, and there's been days I forgot to do it, and boy, they get on my butt. So it makes a lot of fun.
So they're like, wait, coach, we got to get the 7 push-ups
no doubt.
in.
Especially after games. You know, they're on me. Yeah.
That speaks volumes about the young men you have.
Great kids. Great kids.
Want to talk Texas high school football with your 2 favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man, and including private schools. Head to TexasFootball.com, go to the Awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A and private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. If you're just now joining us, Ashley Pickle, Greg Powers, and it is time. This is so perfectly named this week, it's not even funny. We consider the 9 o'clock hour the Power Hour, and now it's the Power Hour with Powers.
Yeah, we can call it the Powers Hour now.
Powers Hour?
Yeah, Pickle and Powers.
Pickle and Powers,
For the Power
let's go.
Hour. Buckle up, guys, because Texas high school football is in full swing. It's Friday night, the night that was made for football.
It was made for football, and there is no better place for you to be than here partying with us. If any of the games that we're going to be showing you highlights of here as we dive into second half action you get interested in, may I encourage you to go to TexanLive.com/subscribe. We made it super easy for you. Scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to TexanLive.com. Guys, there are hundreds of events happening all throughout the year. Over 1,900 UIL sporting events broadcasted each year on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. If you're going to do it, go ahead and do it now, because not only will you get the remainder of football season, we have so many playoff games. Do you love watching playoff football?
I love playoff football. That's where I'll be every weekend.
Every single person should be there. And while you're at the game, you can pull up Texan Live on your phone or on your computer and watch it live from the game. We're living in the 21st century, folks. Scan that QR code, TexanLive.com/subscribe. All right, enough of my yapping. Let's get right back into it. It is the Power Hour here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, which means games all across the state. We check in to ones like Richland and Denton Ryan up there, then Silsbee, Hampshire, Finette going for it. Can they get it? Oh, I think he was able to stay in bounds.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to extend that lead to 27-0 pending extra point. And then Richland, you know what? Denton Ryan only scored 27 points last week because they were blanked in the second half versus Aledo. They wasted little time scoring a touchdown in the second half to go ahead and get some points on the board, starting to put a little bit of a stamp on that game. This was a big game for them on an emotional night in Denton, so congratulations for what the Raiders have been able to accomplish in the early going. There's still some game left, though.
There is. There is. No, and that's one of those things, too, to be able to recollect yourself after an emotional week, to be able to, ooh, did they just pick that off? But then also, mainly, to bounce back from a loss against Aledo, because let's face it, we pretty much had that one penciled in that was going to be the deciding game for that district. And so to go out there and have a really good showing against another state-ranked opponent really has done well for Dave Hennigan's squad.
This Midway Temple game is real exciting, and then here you go right now with Richland looking for an answer for Mike Turner, right? Because he's not out. He's out he's not out there. He's out for the rest of the season with an injury, most likely. But they got some big offensive linemen. They are going to find success, I feel like, throughout the course of this season to get that offense clicking, to be able to pick up yardage in the run game. You know what? They've leaned on their quarterback a whole lot since Turner went down with an injury. As a matter of fact, Drew Cates leads the team in rushing and passing, so he's kind of having to be like, you know, that guy that they can lean on no matter what to move the chains. But they do have a nice wide receiver in Xavier Johnson, who's committed to Memphis. Very smooth. Entered this game with 710 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he's been able to get the ball in his hands and make plays. But Denton Ryan's defense is what they hang their hat on. Right?
Yeah, Xavier Johnson, too. I mean, he's a 3-year starter, so he's been a lifeblood of this program of being able to be a weapon on the outside. Really, they just needed to find someone at that quarterback spot that could get him the ball, and Cates has been able to do that. I mean, even last year alone, I mean, 1,700 yards, 19 passing touchdowns. He's an electric little player, but having him, obviously, Turner out for this season is a big drop-off for them.
Well, I mean, he was the heart and soul of their offense. You know, the guy that they leaned on, a game changer, committed to Baylor, where Keenan Hall, the running backs coach down there in Waco, did a tremendous job in his recruitment to help lure him down there to play for the Bears in college. They beat out some big-time teams to gain his commitment. But that being said, now they have to circle the wagons. Now they have to be able to find some answers to be able to make sure that they not only make the playoffs, but they can potentially win some games once they get in the playoffs.
Temple marching their way down the field here against a Midway squad that is showing again their defensive talent that Joe Gillespie has implemented into this program. But focusing on Temple, it seems like they have really started to find their pacing. Obviously, going up against a really good defense like this has given them some fits tonight. But they're right on the precipice here of bringing this back in pretty close.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They've been hanging around in this game 21-9. They can get some points here, especially a touchdown, and get within striking distance. Sets up a very interesting scenario because they're playing at home. They're going to have the crowd on their side down the stretch. So we'll be interested to see how this drive concludes. But as we're watching it, you know, we've talked about their defensive stars a lot tonight. Jamarian Carlton and Jason Bradford, guys together collectively who have 30 scholarship offers or over 30 scholarship offers. But on that offensive front, they have one of the guys that's really coming up on the scene this season, and that's Kirk Gilden. He's picked up offers from UTEP, Texas Southern, and Texas State. He's a big offensive lineman, 6'5", over 300 pounds, a guy who everybody's starting to catch wind of, and that's why you're starting to see him catch the attention of some of the in-state programs on the recruiting front.
Yeah, and you take a look there for Temple and Midway at District 12 6A, and I think that you can pencil in that Harker Heights is the favorite in that district right now. 4-2.
Playing well.
Yeah, playing very well. 4-2 overall. I do believe, yeah, Midway actually lost to them 2 weeks ago, 34-26. But this was a very big game to kind of start to decide that seeding. I think those top 4 teams that are in there right now are likely to continue to be your playoff teams, but it was going to be, okay, if Harker Heights is able to stay up at the top, where do the rest of the 3 fall? Kind of, are we going to have any sort of a 3-way tie? And so if you're Brian, I think that you were definitely rooting for Temple tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, you got a very talented Coppers Cove team. They're lurking around. Colleen Shoemaker has been really good over the last couple of seasons. So to me, this is like one of those districts that really could hinge on 1 or 2 plays, and especially 1 or 2 games, right? Because it's just very competitive. You mentioned Harker Heights off the top. They're really impressive, and they've already like picked up a few of their big wins throughout the course of the schedule. So they're clearly in the driver's seat. But if Temple can win this game and move to 2-0, that creates an exciting game down the stretch. I think they got them in 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Yeah, Harker Heights, their 2 losses on the season coming from Dripping Springs in a 3-point game and Midlothian in a 2-point game. So they are 5 points away from being 6-0. That's how well Coach Mark Umble's ball club is playing. It always is funny for me to remember that Mark Umble is down there after his time spent at Prosper Rock Hill, and then he went to be an OC again, and then now back up in the lead spot, taking over for Jerry Edwards, who did incredible things to kind of kick off that Harker Heights program.
Yeah, no doubt about it here, and you'll see as we hit a timeout in the Richland-Denton Ryan 34-16. Barbers Hill 17-13 over PA Memorial. Now that is a monumental turn of events there. PA Memorial here with the football looks like they are threatening to score, but definitely things have turned in that game.
Absolutely, and you figured at some point with an electrifying offense that Barbers Hill has, with players like sophomore wide receiver Keegan Morton, who has been absolutely fantastic this year, averaging 98 yards per game receiving, 11 total touchdowns on the year. And then another sophomore running back there in Gabriel Howard. He's averaging 78.4 yards on the ground per game. So Barbers Hill, very loaded with prospects. Now you take a look at this, Port Arthur Memorial, they have plenty of talent to choose from.
Yeah, they're trying to say check on you, right? Like you're talking about Barbers Hill. They say we're going to counter you with Brock King, Michael Riles, Tank King, Amonte Martin, and Michael Milson. We spent some time talking about Tank King. We spent some time talking about Michael Riles. Brock King, of course, a very talented cornerback. I want to focus a little bit on their running back, Amonte Martin. Did you know that he is the younger brother of UCF running backs coach Cam Martin, who was a one-time Under Armour All-American at PA Memorial? And of course, he had to offer his brother a scholarship, right? You know,
so what you're telling me is this kid grew up learning how to be a running back.
Yeah,
this is the plane was written for him, you know?
No doubt about it. He is a guy that really understands the game, and he reminds me a little bit of his brother, but I have to say, Cam was more of a slasher, where Amonte is a guy who's not afraid to run over you. He's already picked up offers in addition to UCF from schools like SMU, Houston, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State. So Cam's got some work to do to try to lure his brother to Orlando.
Yeah, him and Michael Riles could potentially be playing together with that OSU commitment.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
It was actually a bit of a coup, I felt like, whenever Oklahoma State was able to win the commitment of Michael Riles, because he had some really elite schools chasing him. As a matter of fact, one of the recruiting services early on had him rated as the #1 player in the state.
How about that? So there you go. Barbers Hill making their way up on Port Arthur Memorial. Okay, so games happening all across the state. Why don't we give you some second half highlights of other games that we haven't dove into yet? Let's head out to East Chambers versus Anahuac. This is always one of my favorite small school matchups that we have on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, courtesy of our friends there at Anahuac. So this one starting East Chambers up 7 early. It's wide receiver Gerald Smith. He's going to take the direct snap into the end zone, up 14-0. Anahuac driving, looking to respond. It's junior quarterback Brady Barrier. Can he find his man? Yes, he can. Logan Totter to cut the lead. Anahuac kicking it off after the score. And it's East Chambers. Can they recover it? Yes, sir. Did they get it? No, it was Anahuac. Anahuac had it instead. After another quick touchdown there, he will barrel his way into the end zone. That was Thomas DeLeo. Then East Chambers with a response. It's Arius Caesar. What a run for little number 4, taking it into the end zone. After an Anahuac 3 and out, it is quarterback KJ Fontenot. He ties into the RPO, and there he goes. All right.
Back to the quad box.
Back to the quad box.
Richland and Denton Ryan, things are heating up in that one, 34-16. Of course, we have PA Memorial. It looks like they punted the ball. Well, no, they've moved it down to having an opportunity here to take the lead. Oh, they scored already. Well, you were reading those highlights. They scored, Pickle.
Well, goodness. How about that? This one just back and forth. This is exactly the type of game that we were looking for on this one.
Temple kicked a field goal, drawing within 9. So a good I would call that a win for Waco Midway.
Yes.
I know Temple needed to score a touchdown there to try to draw it to 1 score. 6 minutes and 28 seconds and going in that one. I don't know. I'm not giving myself credit for that one being a defensive battle anymore. They might have scored too many points.
Yeah.
But I probably would have set like the over-under for that game maybe going in at like 45.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I also, too, I think that for me, that shows me that these offenses might be a little bit better than I thought that they were, because we know that each team is going up against a very high-powered defense. I think that both offenses have played really well tonight. So there we go, and then we check in down there. Kilgore just continuing to run through that Tyler Chapel Hill defense. They have shown no mercy. You want to talk about a team that was not happy with that loss to Henderson last week? They're showing it tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they have one of my favorite players in the state, and that's Jaden Sanders, who's heading to Michigan after high school.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fearsome defender, a guy who really is like a headhunter there, super athletic. So Kilgore not only has a well-coached team, a team that clicks together, bands together, they also have some superior D1 talent as well.
They are truly looking the part. All right, well, there is 2 4A teams going up against each other. How about we take a look at some 4A scores across the state? We start off now with 4A Division II. Carthage having their way with Center. Robinson up big on Lorena. Lorena just down from what we have seen them. Wimberley not letting Salado have any fun tonight. Jasper, though, up on the aforementioned
What a fun
West
game
Orange
that one
Stark.
is. Yeah.
How about that? Coach Kendrick Crumity really showing his way with the speed there for Jasper. Interested to go back and watch the highlights on that one if they can keep pulling it off. And then what about this too? Sealy up on Belleville. That's a big score.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. To me, that's a big upset because we saw Belleville at AT&T Stadium competing for a state championship last year. And Jasper to me is just fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they're electric.
Yeah, they have, and a guy that I love to watch there is Keati Armstrong. You know, he's the #1 rated tight end in the state, but they use him so interestingly. They're not afraid to, like, he plays quarterback sometimes for them.
Which is
he
wild.
Is massive. Will line up at linebacker and defensive end and do some different things there for Jasper, showing off his athleticism. And of course, Keati Armstrong is committed to play for the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies in college. So one of the in-state programs got themselves a big dog coming from Jasper.
And we round it all out down there. Cuero up 22-14 in a very, very tasty 15 4A Division II. That, if you haven't been paying attention to that district, let me tell you, Cuero versus Sinton next week.
Yeah.
That one is fun. Scan that QR code up at the top. It'll take you to texasfootball.com/scores as we move on now to 4A Division I. Salina and Sulphur Springs in a top 10 matchup there in 4A Division I. Not only top 10, but a district matchup to likely decide that district, and Salina is the machine that just keeps on rolling.
Bo Bentley.
Insane. They finally, man, let me tell you, they will run the ball down your throat, and then they also have a quarterback that can throw it. They are looking every bit being the #1 team in the state. El Campo up big on Beeville Jones. Canyon Randall and Dumas in a little bit of a shootout there. Brownwood and Lampasas, a tale as old as time. This one is one that is always close. So Sammy Burnett's squad going to try and keep that lead going down there from Badger Stadium. Aubrey, a very good Aubrey team, up on Paris 28-7. And then Bridge City up by 1 on Hardin Jefferson.
The score that I really want to keep track of in this one is that Brownwood Lampasas score, because I feel like that's an important district matchup in 4-4A Division I. Two teams playing their first district game and kind of setting the tone on maybe how it'll play out. I was able to see Lampasas earlier this year against Waco University. They took the L in that game, but there's plenty of talent on that team, especially wide receiver Ty Johnson, a real chain mover and a field stretcher at the wideout position.
Back to the quad box we go, and a big catch right there from Barbers Hill as they start making their way back down the field. Port Arthur Memorial was able to go up by 3 with that last touchdown. Now Barbers Hill moving quickly, and it's very Carl Absek to have a high-flying offense. You remember back when he was at Cedar Park and Gunnar Absek was the quarterback, making it all the way to the state championships back in, what was that, 21? 20?
Temple says, you're not going to put us to bed that easy. What a long touchdown pass there. 21-18, extra point pending. What do you do here? It's a 3-point swing. The extra point really isn't huge. I probably kick the extra point just in case the safety can help you tie the game right there.
I would agree. I think you go ahead and kick it.
What a play. It dropped it right in the bucket.
Just an incredible throw.
What an atmosphere I feel like it is in Temple, too, with the light show and stuff. Whenever they score all these touchdowns, I say all these touchdowns, it looks like they've scored 2. But whenever they score a touchdown, it's a light show, and it looks like it's a whole lot of fun.
I had the opportunity to go down to Temple when we were signing them with Dave Campbell's Texan Live and check out their broadcasting setup that they have down there at Wildcat Stadium. Let me tell you, state of the art. 6-camera shoot down there with an incredible video board. The town of Temple is one that is football crazy and incredibly proud to be a one-school town. I mean, you think about the growth around the Austin area, around the Waco area. It's hard to have those one-school districts anymore, especially in the 6A realm. You see teams like Hutto, school districts like Hutto now having to expand into a secondary campus. Temple has found a way to still keep it that one-horse town, and that's something that they get a lot of cool toys out of.
Well, they're doing a tremendous job with the production down there. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch this game.
Student run, too.
Yeah, watch this game all night. Credit to those students down there, not only running the broadcast, but running the cameras and doing all the work behind the scenes to bring you guys and us some hard-hitting Texas high school football action.
More punts for you.
There you go.
You asked for punts, you got punts.
You know what? I don't know that I would necessarily say that I'm a punt fan. But I did call
you
for
have now solidified yourself.
I did call for a defensive night, so I was really just wanting to push all my chips in on not scoring points.
There's
right?
no going back now. Greg Powers, big fan of punting. Go ahead and stitch that on a throw pillow.
A lot of fun though in that Argyle game. We were talking about the punting. They actually pulled out to extend their lead. They put 33 on the board now, up 16. Over a very game Arlington Seguin squad, but just starting to pull away late. Of course, they're playing at home, have the fans behind them.
This is a big score opportunity here. If you're Barbers Hill, you can't let this one go, especially now entering the red zone. You have to capitalize on this one.
This game's really taken an uptick or a swing, an offensive uptick here late. Barbers Hill, after they got behind here, wasted little time driving down the field. You'll see him here on the 15-yard line, just handed the ball off to Jaden Rodriguez as we take a break.
All right, we take a look now. Let's go ahead and dive into that district too, because like we said, this one a critical matchup showing from 9-5A Division 1. So as we mentioned, Port Arthur Memorial, their one district loss coming from unbeaten Galveston Ball last week, and Galveston Ball looked ridiculous. We've talked forever about Jonah Williams, but you mix Jonah Williams on the offensive side of the ball with their stellar defense, they are the team to beat.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Jonah Williams is the guy that everybody talks about, but he's not the only prospect that they have. You know, they have multiple guys over there that are getting plenty of attention on the recruiting front. And Lufkin, to me, is a very interesting squad sitting there at number 2. They lost some big-time players, namely running back Kedron Young, who signed with Notre Dame last year. So they're going to really hang their hat probably on the defensive side of the ball, where they have big defensive tackle Zion Williamson committed to LSU. But they have one of the sleepers who I really like, and that's wide receiver Cre'Shawn Preston on the offensive side, a big receiver who catches everything. Like, if you get the ball in his vicinity, he's going to be able to climb the ladder and pull something down and make a play. Great hands and concentration with a knack for the end zone. Barbers Hill sitting at 4-2, 1-1 in district, right in it with Port Arthur Memorial. So that's why you can see how important that game is tonight, because the winner of that game sets themselves up nicely, not only to possibly secure a playoff spot, but playoff positioning starts to come into the mix when you're talking about finishing higher in the district standings.
Absolutely, and we just spoke with our guy down on the call for this one, Jay Dunson, and I believe there's only 29 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter here. So this one even more important than what we were originally thinking.
Yeah, we'll stay right here with the action then, I would think, for that one, because this game is coming down to the wire.
All right, enough of hearing us with only 29.6 seconds left on the clock for this crucial district matchup. Let's go ahead and go out on the call with Jay Dunson.
Become one. So here comes the offense of Barbers Hill, 29.6 seconds.
36. All over 15.
Cantu throws under pressure into the corner. Over the head, they're going to drop a flag. Ball looked like it might have been uncatchable, honestly. But that flag is going to be on the defense. .1 seconds. And Barbers Hill is looking like they're going to get a gift from the defense of Memorial. This happened at the closing seconds of the halftime. Yeah, they're going to move the ball down. Looks like probably to the 2-yard line again. 25.1 seconds. They still show one timeout for Barbers Hill. For it to end on a penalty like that. Cantu, 2 backs in the backfield, 25 seconds on the clock. Jones and Howard in the backfield. Howard gets the carry. Oh, he's going to be backed up. Runs into the wall of Titans.
And that's how the Titans hold. 19 seconds left remaining.
19.2 seconds, another timeout called.
Timeout.
So Barbers Hill did have one in their pocket. They called their final timeout with 19.2. Pass interference penalty with under a minute left. Put the ball on the 2. That loss puts it on the 4-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 4 with said 19.2 left. Once again, 19.2 seconds. Second and goal from the 4.
Second and 4. Let them hear your 365 fans. Make some noise.
So Jones, the lone back to the right of Cantu. 3 wideouts on the far side. Roll out by Cantu. He's being chased down. He's going to get tackled. He gets rid of the ball just in the nick of time to stop the clock at 13.9 seconds. Definitely could hear footsteps there. His helmet came off, so Cantu is going to have to come out of the game. At the worst time. That'll bring Wells in to run one play with 13.9 seconds. Third and goal from the 4. Wells with Jones to his left. Wells is going to throw under big pressure. Gets away from the first defender, trips over his own man, and down at the 21-yard line. They're out of timeouts, 5 seconds left. Barbers Hill trying to line up. They're going to run out of time, and that is it. Port Arthur Memorial somehow weathers the storm and keeps them out of the end zone on 3 plays inside the 5-yard line, so they earned it.
Oh, man.
Wow. Drama.
Oh, man. Like, okay, let's address the obvious that Zeke Cantu helmet came off prior to the last, what ended up being the last play of the game. He, at that point, by rule, is ineligible. He has to sit out for at least a play when your helmet is removed. That is awful timing.
It was even worse that the quarterback that come in to relieve him tripped over his own player to get stopped.
Awful, awful timing. So now that that is out of the way, the 2 defensive stands that Port Arthur Memorial had right there were drawn to perfection. I mean, absolute perfection. They rushed the passer even on the outside, up straight up the middle on the first one, and then got to him on the outside. Master class by the defense there to force those 2 stops.
When we cut to him and big defensive tackle number 90, Tavian Chapman, made that play, that was like he hawked up.
Yeah.
Right? And that actually kind of, to me, set the tone on what was going to happen on the next 2 plays.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, terrible, terrible bad luck for what happened to Barbers Hill at the end of that game. But that's why every play is important, right? Every play is important underneath the Friday Night Lights. You just can't. You
And
can't
talk about
rewind the clock now.
Talk about being a backup that needs to always be in the mental mindset of, like, at any literal given point, I could step foot like into this game. That's just wild, man. A tough break there for Barbers Hill, but not to take anything away from the incredible defensive play.
A big win for PA Memorial, though. Huge win.
Yes.
Able to fend off a game Barbers Hill team that quite literally picked themselves off the mat to have a chance to win that game at the end. That was a good showing for Carl Absick's squad because PA Memorial was in firm control of that game in the early going.
That might have just saved PA Memorial from being the 4th place team in that district.
Yeah, it was going to be interesting if they lost that game because their schedule's a little bit tougher to me. In my opinion, their schedule's a little bit tougher over the next few weeks.
Absolutely. So there you go. Port Arthur Memorial finding a way to get it done.
Man,
All
it was
right.
still fun.
Oh,
Like,
it was blast. It was a blast.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like watching that in my jaw. I had to pick it up off the floor. Like, it just seemed like one play after another. The PA Memorial defense rose up to be able to take that game and turn it from a loss into a dub.
All right, partner, I think that you've got some highlights for us out of the Houston
Let's
area.
do it.
Atascocita and Humble. This one's exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll get to the action right here. Atascocita continues to pull away here as Isaiah Rashid connects with CJ Tony for a 34-yard touchdown. Humble looking to stay competitive in the game, though, but throws a pick as his defensive back, Abimael Angel, with the INT here. And then Atascocita blowout continues as Torrey Blaylock takes it in from 1 yard out to extend that lead. Atascocita continues to pour it on here as Isaiah Rashid throws a dime to Broderick Malone over the middle for 35 yards, and it's 46-3.
All right, how about we keep it in the Houston area as we head out to Cy Ridge and Cy Creek. Cy Ridge, that's Zion Cornish taking the hand up, 30 yards, and he's in. Now Cy Creek down 24-10. Stephen Cheney's pass was picked off Dylan Ellis. He has an open field. Can he make it all the way down? No, but down to the red zone he goes. Later on, Cy Ridge quarterback Chad Johnson, he throws the pick. Look at the defense standing up in this one. It's a one-handed grab by Marlon Cook. Back now, Cy Creek, they're not going away. Gonna make them pay after that one. Garland Wilburn's touchdown cuts the deficit in half. Cy Ridge looking to answer back. Can they get it? A beautiful dime right there to Aiden Saravia. This one interesting down in District 17-6A. We bring you back in the last portion of the Power Hour to the Quad Box. Checking in, Denton Ryan 41-18 up on Richland. Hampshire Finette 35-7 against Silsby. Man, how about that one? Temple taking the lead against Midway. Kilgore still doing things to Chapel Hill, but Powers, you can officially say this is not a defensive battle.
They
so
just
that's
went
step
over
number
my
one.
projected over-under of 45 with the latest score, 21-26. I'll go ahead and hang my hat and say that was the L. I can't win them all, right? You know?
But Temple now again with the ball, trying to put what likely would be a cap in this one if they could go up to 2 scores here this late in the, still in the third quarter rather.
Yeah, a lot of time.
This one a 7:30 kick. That's
a lot
right.
of time left in that game. But credit to the Temple defense. You know, we flip around to the Quad Box and to some other games, but as this was going on, Temple's defense has been able to get them the ball back with favorable field position here to extend a lead. So they not only score, they're able to have a chance to put some more points on the board here as they're inside that red zone. And this is going to be an important snap on 2nd and 9. And they keep it in the middle of the field. And it looks like he gets it down to the 1 yard line, but he might have snuck it. Yeah, they're going to rule him down short.
Oh, the rule of cool would say he was in.
Yeah, he was. There was the rule of cool. I love those inside runs where they're like dragging defenders with them. I would have gave him the score on merit right there.
On merit. All right, we'll wait to see here if Temple is able to punch this one in. And, looks like we're going to take a break here in the fourth quarter. So how about we go to some scores, and we'll come back at the end of the quarter and see if they can punch this one in. All right, 5A Division II, we start you off here. The Mules of Alamo Heights. That is a huge win against a Victoria West program that has been sneaky good. I think they were 6-0 coming into this game, taking on Alamo Heights, but Michael Terry sure turned it on.
I was getting ready to say, I bet you Michael Terry scored some touchdowns in this one.
You would tend to think so. Texas High up by 9 against Marshall. Lubbock Cooper having their way with Abilene Cooper. Montgomery, the 10th ranked team in 5A Division II, losing currently to the Hornets of Huntsville. Brian Rudder up on Waco U, and then Anna up on Frisco Emerson. You can scan that QR code and it'll take you to texasfootball.com/scores. Moving on now to 5A Division I. Okay, Granbury. I know that's not a win, but scoring 31 points on Aledo is not bad.
One of the best defensive units in the state year over year. Granbury put 31 on them. Look, Aledo's faced some tests this year. This isn't the same Aledo team as last year. There's some question marks, I feel like, heading into the playoffs. Some reason for optimism if you get matched up with them, so to speak.
Absolutely. Then you take a look. San Antonio Piper just continues to be a machine. Galveston Ball, though, take a look at Beaumont United's defense, holding them to only 28 points. You've got to remember that game that we were just talking about with Port Arthur Memorial. They allowed Galveston Ball 41 points last week. So holding a Galveston Ball offense to 28 is rather impressive. Burleson Centennial down to Midlothian. New Braunfels, the Unicorns, up on Bernie Champion, and then scoreless out there in El Paso. We'll figure out what's going on with that one. Oh, by the way, Midlothian and Burleson Centennial, that's actually a final score, so the Panthers taking that one. Let's go on up to the big dogs. Up to 6A we go. And wow. Talk about that one. Duncanville getting their revenge on DeSoto after the regular season loss last year. What do you take out of that score?
Well, here's what we've got. Mike Craven on the scene in Duncanville, and he's done nothing but rave about DeCorian Moore, who scored 4 early touchdowns in that game to assert his dominance as the top prospect or the top rated prospect in the state. Look, Duncanville's going D1 and DeSoto's going D2. I think the surprise takeaway is that DeSoto would lose 2 games coming off back-to-back state championship years. But the 2 games that they lost are to Duncanville. Again, not final, 35-20, still some time left in that game. If it plays out, if they lose, that they lost to North Crowley and Duncanville, 2 of the best teams in the state, and 2 6A D1 teams.
Absolutely. So incredibly interesting there. Trinity up on Keller Timber Creek. Cibolo Steel having no problem with Conver Churson. Oh, can they get it in? Yes, sir, they can. Temple now up by 2 scores there on Midway after being down a lot.
I'm just getting hype about the light show now that they're scoring touchdowns in this game. Like, that's setting the atmosphere.
You were like, every time they do the light show. Well, the 2 times that they've done the light show.
But it means a lot to me, you know. Like, I'm really hype about that light show out there in Temple.
So are the fans.
Yeah, the fans
Greg
are fired.
Powers, the fans. Insert the handshake, okay?
Going back to these 6A scores here as they make the extra point good. Euless Trinity continues to roll with a 42-13 score over Timber Creek. This is a down Timber Creek squad, Pickle. But to me, Coach Lineweaver at Euless Trinity has orchestrated one of the state's big turnarounds.
Yeah, so looking there, and then Cibolo Steel again having their way with that. Wolfer Friendship and Midland in an absolute brawl being decided currently by 1 point. Quick correction there on the San Antonio Johnson and Reagan scene. That actually, Johnson is actually up 21-3 on Reagan, which is Johnson's rolling right now, even without Ty Hawkins there at quarterback.
Look at you with the inside info on getting the correct score like
it's,
that. Like
yeah, the score wizard, I would like to deem myself.
Princess of the scoreboard.
Princess of the scoreboard. How about that? And then Coach Fleener's squad getting long-viewed right now. John King, man, you want to talk about a team that I had some questions about, and then they shut me up really quickly. Longview has looked very impressive the past couple of weeks.
And the fact that they scored 41 points against a very game Forney team is really impressive. I was at the Longview Forney game last year. Both of those teams were 5A, by the way, at the time. They both bumped up to 6A.
Yeah, District 7.
Yeah, I feel like that was a 13-12 final.
Yeah.
So this is like a scoring outpour from a Longview team that I feel like entered this game angry.
Yeah, and then too, I mean, you even go back to just this year alone. Woo, big boy throw there. You go back to this year alone for Longview. They're sitting at 3-2 on the season, and they beat Lufkin 7-3, so not many points. They had their way with Marshall. That one wasn't necessarily surprising. They get into a shootout with South Oak Cliff, end up losing by 1 as South Oak Cliff had an unbelievable second half. They lose to a team out of Ruston, Louisiana, and then they turned on the Jets against Rockwall last week, 63-34. You could tell that the offense found a way to gel, and now they're doing it against a good Forney defense like you mentioned.
That Ruston team out of Louisiana must be pretty good.
Yeah.
Because that was an unexpected score to me. I don't know a whole lot about Ruston, Louisiana.
Well, yeah, because Texas is the best.
Right.
And you ain't got to apologize for that.
I'm not going to apologize for it, but that was a score that really caught my attention. So I started to, like you said, I started to have doubts about the Lobos. But John King, easily one of the top coaches in all of Texas, regardless of classification. Now he just happens to be competing at the highest level.
Absolutely.
They've been there before, though. Longview's like one of those teams that's like bumps up and down. Like it seems like their enrollment is right there on the cut line every year, so they could go 6A or stay down in 5A. Just depends on the realignment year and what that enrollment cutoff is.
Well, and that was a funny thing. We've talked about this district that it was 7-5A Division I in Longview, Lancaster, and Forney all moving up to 6A. I mean, they just completely blew up that district.
I feel like all those teams have been successful, though. Lancaster's pulled off some big wins in recent weeks. Forney, of course, has a very talented squad. They picked up some losses in recent weeks, but I think that they're a team that's on the rise because they have a quarterback in Nelson Peterson. And if that name sounds familiar to you, that's because he's the younger brother of Adrian Peterson.
Oh, so, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, so you might have heard of Adrian Peterson. Well, his younger brother is the quarterback at Forney. He's really starting to click with that offense, and I think that he's going to continue to get better. He's a dual threat guy, but he doesn't have the experience yet at the 6A level. He played for Sunnyvale before he moved to Forney, so you're going to start to see him get his feet underneath of him, get more confidence, and continue to get better week over week.
Absolutely. Want to encourage you one more time. It says it down there on the ticker. Well, it did. But you can watch these games full on TexanLive.com. Go ahead and scan that QR code. It takes you directly to the subscriber page. It is an incredible deal. Not to mention that a lot of people don't know this, but if you are a subscriber for Texan Live and you get all of those games, that also means that you get everything that we have to offer on TexasFootball.com, from premium podcasts to magazines shipped directly to you, to all the insight on Greg Powers recruiting content, all the football stuff that your heart can handle. If you scan that and pay a low annual price of $49.99, you will have all of that for a full year. You know, that is larceny.
I'm not one of those guys who begs for subscribers, right? But if you're not subscribing right now and getting your DCTF Rising magazine in December and then getting your magazine before it hits the newsstands, the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football next summer, what are you doing? Because it's playoff time. You're going to get all the Texan Live games. You're going to get what we're doing right here on Texas Football Tonight. And guess what? In recruiting, it's flip season. Some of us like to call it Merry Flipmas.
Merry Flipmas.
But it's flip season right now, and there's some big-time recruits that are making their decisions that have been committed at other places, including this week, Dalen McCutcheon at Lovejoy flipped his commitment from Florida State to Texas, powering up the Longhorns for the Red River rivalry showdown with Oklahoma tomorrow. The number 20 rated prospect in the state is now headed to Austin to play for Steve Sarkisian.
That is just insane. The recruiting that Texas is doing right now is just wild. As we go back out to Temple and Midway with the ball, he's going to let it rip. Does he have a man? He sure does. What an answer from the Panthers and Joe Gillespie's squad on offense.
Wow, he really put that right in, and I didn't think the receiver was going to come up with that catch. He caught it really low, but it just stuck to his hands like perfectly right there as he's able to reel it in. Look, this game's now turned into offensive fireworks all of a sudden. What's going on?
They heard you. They were like, hey, that Greg Powers guy, he said
he's
defense.
He's hating on our offenses.
Bombs away. So there you go. All right, that one now Midway with the extra point and pending a false start there. They're going to move them back a little bit, so an extended extra point, but trying to knot that one up at a 5-point game with 10 minutes and 29 seconds left in the fourth. So we'll watch this extra point, see if they can make that happen.
While we're watching it, I'm just going to go ahead and let the fans at home know that Denton Ryan score has been now moved to final, 44-19.
Wow.
Ryan knocks off Richland.
Wow. Argyle and Argyle Seguin also going final. Arlington Seguin rather, but Argyle will go ahead and put that down in the win column, 36-7. One more score update from the DFW here. Mansfield Summit going up against Mansfield Timberview. 21-20. Summit was able to take them down. So you can see obviously affecting District 3 5A Division 2 there. Summit able to pull that one out to notch them up to 4-0 in district play, but a squeaky one there.
Here's the updated standings now in 3-5A Division 2. Arlington Seguin and Argyle right now doing battle. Argyle 3-0 after that victory over Seguin tonight.
So there you go. All right, well, if you're interested in watching the rest of that Temple and Midway game and how it shapes out, you can go to TexanLive.com and watch that banger. Go ahead and round it out. So, did you have fun?
Yeah, I love it. Power Hour's where it's at. Whenever the other Greg leaves, look at all the fun that we can have.
We need to have a one Greg maximum on this
punting.
show. He hates punting. A Greg who hates punting is not a Greg who's your friend. But this Greg is your friend. Powers, it was a lot of fun to have you on. We appreciate everybody tuning in for week 7 of Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. Of course, we will be back next Friday to bring you all the action that week 8 has to offer. A reminder, all of these videos are available on demand on TexanLive.com, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Go out, share it with your friends. You can watch it all week long. Go get caught back up. But until then, we'll see you next Friday on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.